Today's video is sponsored by Flux on their pool $1,000 in Flux every month for the next 12 months. Guess what pool I have my Flux rig on? That's right, Flux pool. Get this as well. Flux pools just recently cut their parallel asset fees in half. Full details on Flux pool's monthly $1,000 giveaway down below in the description. Thanks again to fluxpools.net for supporting the hobbyist miner community. Here we are. It took a little bit to get here, some slight technical difficulties, but you know, it wouldn't be a live stream without them. Welcome guys to the first watch party on the channel with guest host here, Seb Fintech. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just excited to have a watch of this with you.
Awesome, 100%. So guys, a little technical difficulties. I think we'll be good to go here moving out. Let us know who's quiet, who's loud. We'll adjust it. We'll turn one up, we'll turn one down. You know, we'll kind of adjust things as we go. As I said, it's kind of hard to test this with kind of everything we're doing. Let's see, Mining King says your volume is way down. So perfect. We will address the issues now before we go ahead and kick things off. So let me know. I did bump my microphone, so we should be good. That should be better. And
I'm a bit too loud, apparently.
All right, we'll turn you down. We'll find the perfect. On our side, it sounds okay, but it's like, all right, we'll adjust it 100%. Let me do one thing here. Just check one thing before we jump in.
How's everyone doing?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Hobbyist is low. Seb is fine. All right, well, let's give me a little pep in my step here. How's that sound? I will turn.
Well, guys, while Hobbyist is messing with the settings, why don't you give the live stream one of these? We'd really appreciate it.
So why don't you tell folks kind of there you go. Why don't you tell folks what we're exactly doing here today? Like, what's going on here?
Well, we're watching the Flux State of the Union and gonna give our kind of live commentary on it as we go along. I just saw the Mining King donated $5 and said Seb's probably need a Red Bull. And yeah, probably it's late in the evening here for me, but that's okay.
All right.
What else are you guys saying? We got some.
I did make some.
I'm drinking. Yeah. It's a ginger beer. Just some sort of ginger beer.
All right, that should be better, guys. I did some love, so let me know. We'll do a little cheers in chat to the 309 people in chat. Cheers to you tonight. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I am drinking a Victory Golden Monkey Belgian style triple ale. There we go. Chat sounds good. I turned my gain up. Just turned my gain up a little bit. I'll turn it down a little bit now. Now we're gonna play the game. Salute. That's right.
Yeah.
I turned it down.
Are you too loud compared to me now?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out. Oh yeah, here we go. I'll crank you back up to where you should have been. This is why we did this now, and then we'll be good. I got some scotch in chat.
Oh yeah, 𝗔𝗡𝐿, you're in the same time zone as me, aren't you? That's cool. Even though completely different parts of the world, same time zone. That's pretty cool.
Cool. Guys, we're going to ask for one more audio check just to make sure myself and Seb are good. And then we'll be diving into... He's a tad loud, but that might be... Okay, I'm trying to figure out who's loud.
Thanks for the donut.
Same as Seb. Okay. We're almost there, I think. Shout outs to the donations in chat, guys. Mining King coming in $5. Seb's probably needs a Red Bull. Yep, you're correct. You got Matt in chat. Matt's part of the 𝐿nomi squad. Thank you for joining the 𝐿nomi squad. Thanks for all you both do. Started in March, mining and learning so much. Welcome, Matt. And 𝗏𝐿𝐴, $20. Awesome. We're good now.
Oh, hey.
Awesome.
We got 𝐶hamp in the chat. How are you doing, 𝐶hamp?
Whoa.
Celebrities in the chat. That's awesome.
All right. So as Seb said, we're going to be watching the Flux State of the Union. A few people have commented in chat asking about, like, is this paid? Absolutely not. We are giving our honest opinions on news coming out of Flux, and that was the whole goal of it. The State of the Union from Flux, if you guys haven't seen it yet, is hosted by Daniel Keller. He's hanging out in chat. And it kind of gives an update on, like, where Flux is right now, what's to come. And so myself and Seb are going to kind of discuss those things. Bring them up. We'll pause it a few times here and there to discuss things a little bit. You know, we'll pause it to say, hey, we want to chat about this. We'll start it back up. And then we'll kind of go from there. So other than that, Seb, are we ready to get started here?
I'm good.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to go ahead and swap over here. We're going to go ahead and kick things off. And guys, once again, talking about audio, let us know if this ends up being a little quiet. We'll crank it up. We can adjust audio levels. We tried to test as much as we could before we got started. So thank you guys for understanding here. All right, we're going to hit play. And it's going to start here in just a second. They have like a little intro thing from Google.
In 1999, Amit Patel, creator of Gmail, said he wanted a slogan that was also a bit of a jab at a lot of the other companies, especially our competitors, who at the time, in our opinion, were kind of exploiting the users to some extent. The most famous phrase in Google's corporate philosophy, "Don't be evil," has been almost entirely removed from the technology giant's code.
If I walk over there and sit next to Mr. Johnson and carry my phone, does Google know that I was sitting here and then I moved over there?
Yes.
Yes or no?
I genuinely don't know without knowing what
I'm shocked you
services.
don't know.
Do you or do you not collect identifiers like name, age, and address? Yes or no?
If you're creating an account, yes, and using an account, yes.
Specific search histories when person types something into a search bar.
If you have search history turned on, yes.
Device identifiers like IP address or IMEI.
Depending on the situation, we could be collecting it, yes.
GPS signals, Wi-Fi signals, Bluetooth beacons.
There may be situations, yes.
GPS, yes.
Yes.
Contents of emails and Google documents.
We store the data, but we don't read or look at your Gmail.
You have access to them.
As a company, we have access to them, yes.
The internet has slipped further and further into the hands of corporate giants. These corporations claim they protect the interests of their users, but time and again, they cross the line.
I like how
From
Flux
data
is,
breaches
Flux is throwing
to
Google
invasion
under the
of
bus here.
privacy
Yeah.
to full-on censorship. They're letting
They got the
everyone
big
know
stones.
who
I know,
is
right?
in control. That is, until the people took matters into their own hands and began building Web 3.0.
Hear the like hype music.
Another major setback for Facebook, the social media giant already under fire for not protecting users' private information, now admitting it's been hacked again. This time, many are wondering how safe is their personal information.
There is going
Thank
to
you,
be
Michael.
something, a paramount moment, whether it's a massive deplatforming or, you know, some type of censorship, and immediately everybody will realize that there needs to be another way, there has to be another way, and there is another way. And I think you're going to see Web3 really be pushed right into the forefront.
Social media platform Twitter has been fined for a glitch that made private tweets public.
These are all like anti-social media the whole way.
Thanks for the dono.
Legacy-based systems, legacy-based individuals, whether it's the financial institution or the technology sector or the healthcare sector, whatever, Web3 is a way for them to be palatable with moving to the next iteration of technology because it looks like something that they already know. They don't have to think of it as blockchain, they don't have to think of it as crypto, they think of it as the next internet.
All right, I give credit to Flux for their cool intros with their music and like everything. Like, yeah, it is really good.
It really does get you hyped for Flux.
I know. I'm gonna hire Flux's marketing team to do my new intro videos to my videos.
I will say I haven't learned very much about Flux yet, but I'm hyped.
Nice. So I'm gonna pause it right there before we go any farther. So any comments or thoughts on kind of their demonstration of kind of concerns with Web 2 and kind of how they're pushing Web 3?
Are you asking me or chat?
Yes. Well, I'll ask both. How's that sound?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's ballsy, like you said, like bringing up all the issues that obviously like classic Web 2.0 has had recently. I'm just waiting for them to deliver on like how they're gonna make it better, and I guess that will be what's coming up next in the video here.
Yeah, I mean, Flux pushes decentralization, which is the big one, and I think that's with most platforms in Web3 is like the difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is decentralization. So you're not in AWS, you're not in Azure, you're actually truly decentralized. So yeah, I'm curious on that. I know some of the projects they have coming down the pipeline. So all right, let's go ahead and dive in here. Let's hear what they have to say.
Thanks for the dono.
Once again, good intros, got the music going. You can't watch without bobbing your head. Unbelievable. Yeah. All right, I think they have one more hype, and then they actually get into the talking here. All right, maybe one more.
Okay, it's gonna be one more.
Daniel Keller's behind the wheel, and he's just like, all right, one more video, one more video. Yep. Yes, a boy Matthew in chat had said something about, as a miner, how can we participate in Web3? It's literally being a miner, you're participating in Web3 with keeping the network decentralized. That's exactly how you're helping.
And there's a CGI budget. It looks like a adventure.
Yeah, I know, right? Chump Change, you'd fall asleep in your own stream, let's be honest here. All right, here we go. We got a countdown timer. A countdown to a countdown. Here we go.
We are live. Welcome to the first ever State of the Union for Flux. And boy, I couldn't be happier to be here. Davey, what do you think, man? You hanging in there? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Thanks for getting up early and helping out, man. Like, I really do appreciate it. I wouldn't be able
turn
to
them up here a little bit.
Myself. Like, you know, can run a we can run a massive crypto project, but I can't set this stuff up, you know. It may be in a pinch if I had to, and I couldn't call for you guys. Well, first of all, I want to.
You good to go?
Yep, good to go. I think we're ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Let's go.
Take a couple minutes and welcome everybody to the first ever.
I know, right? Yeah.
So why do we call this the State of the Union? Because I believe that we're probably at the most crucial point of our project ever. You know, we are at the ETH merge is happening. You're seeing a lot of rumblings about proof of work. You're seeing a lot of you know, just the market's down. People are are concerned, and Flux is strong as it's ever been and grows stronger every day. And if you don't believe me,
a politician, Daniel Keller? Come on now.
And today, for the very first time in the history of the project, I will start to talk about some numbers, some projections around Flux, its revenue generation model moving forward, and the potential that Flux has to grow. These numbers that we put together today. These are not faint of heart. And as a matter of fact, I debated for a very long time whether I'd even share them with the community. At some point, I was gonna kind of just drop them into chat like I usually do, and just show up and be like, check these out, you know. But I felt that it really needed to be talked about, because there's only it's not the very first time I've talked about price. It is the first time since the original creation of the white paper. So
I
if we
saw this
go
on
in the
Twitter
Wayback Time
where he
machine,
gets into
we'll
like
talk about that in
projections
a
and
second,
stuff. So
but let me get
that'd be
some
interesting.
housekeeping out of the way. If you're on this live stream right now, I need you to like and share this. I also
Say
need you
Daniel
to head
Keller.
over
He's
to Twitter.
promoting the
Anybody wants
video
to
right
live
now.
tweet
Like and
the things that
subscribe,
we're doing.
guys.
You guys are community members. You've got a computer in front of you, whether you're laying in bed or sitting on the couch, hanging out in the backyard, having a cigar, whatever it is. Pull up that other window and start tweeting, you know, because that really helps us. So without further ado, we're going to get into some details specifically about the project. And I'm going to kind of preface this by saying this is about a year long worth of research. Numbers in this space are very difficult to come by because not a lot of people share those numbers. They can be inflated.
Welcome all 500 of you in chat. Welcome.
You know, they can be overdrawn or you know, puffed out for, you know, shareholders and stakeholders. And so getting the actual physical numbers for some of these things was quite the challenge. So what we did is we looked at, honestly, the ongoing growth of the project and the platform, what is being deployed on it, and we looked at how is this going to look in the future for us, because I think every good project needs to have a 1 through 5 year plan. And if you don't have a 1 through 5 year plan, a business plan to grow organically, then you're doing it wrong. So for today, you're going to see for the very first time in this State of the Union exactly where we sit with Flux. And I think that you'll all be very impressed. And part of that is projections for the next 5 years of the network and its revenue growth. So without further ado, Davey, if you want to pop that PowerPoint up,
let's go. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Welcome to the first State of the Union. So we got.
By the way, Seb and I have not watched this at all.
Big
like,
props.
We haven't even watched it.
The team who went out and helped me put this PowerPoint together so it looks so nice and professional. You know, we're bringing nothing but our A game. I want to start out by saying this is investment advice. Always do your own research. And remember, the Flux is built for the long term.
That terrible.
So invest wisely.
This is not
so you
financial
will
advice.
your numbers today for the first
exactly.
time. Can you back that up one more time?
I always tell people, don't take your advice from
you will
YouTube.
Hear me talk about projections. Behind those numbers and projections are my best estimates, right? I don't tell people what to buy or how to buy it. I am not even interested if you do go buy it, if you just want to participate in the project. But realistically, we have to understand what we're working with. We're all adults in the room, so you know your own risk tolerance, know what you can and can't invest in. Okay, so and understand that Flux is not built for a. If you know when we started working.
Seb, how many
it,
rigs do you
the
have on
better part
Flux
of
right now?
4.5 years when we all came together and we started working on this project.
Come on.
Definitely.
We knew that we had to put a number to a target, and that target for the network.
Dang you, Seb. Dang you.
Well,
soon enough you will. Soon enough. Give you what? 3 weeks?
No,
I kind of agreed with myself
like 3 days.
as we got to the point where we were
like
close
3
to
days.
$1.
Yeah, I got
would
something
start
special
talking about
coming.
projections as the network continued to grow.
Go check him
This
out
is one
on
of the biggest
YouTube at
questions
Seb
I hear
Fintech.
as a strategy guy. And people ask me, they say, okay, well, the network's all real cool and everything, but what's it do and how does it make money and how does it
Well,
grow?
Daniel Keller gives
So
us a
today
speech,
we'll
guys.
try to delve
In
down
chat,
into exactly
post
what
up.
our
How many
philosophy
rigs
is.
or
And this
GPUs do you
elevator
guys have
pitch
on
will be
Flux
the one
right
that
now?
You can share forward with the people that you're teaching about Flux for the very first time. But without that,
I have
just
8.
want to make sure that everybody understands these numbers
8
are
rigs.
speculatory. These numbers are
Don't judge me.
You
that we
actually
can
have
pull
8
together
rigs
from
on
the data
Flux.
pool that
8
we
rigs.
have. And
I don't even have 8
it's been
rigs.
gone through
Well,
multiple
what the-
5, 6,
what the
7,
hell,
8,
man?
10 sets of eyes who all
You
agree
will
that
soon
this is,
enough.
this
You will soon enough.
realistically is what
This
we
man's
look like.
buying
Goodness.
GPUs left and right.
Okay.
Well,
Next slide.
Mm-hmm. Next slide.
So
let's
really
go.
today
All
we're
right.
going to talk about the 3 pillars of Flux. Decentralization and our commitment to being decentralized. There are always challenges around being a truly decentralized project. We're always working on what the next iteration of technology is to keep us decentralized. But make no mistake, our strongest pillar is our community and our decentralization as we move forward. So there's always areas where we can improve. There's always areas where we can work on. We don't learn everything overnight. If we did, this wouldn't be iterative technology. It would be a fully developed product. So, we're excited about that. Scalability and on-demand growth. We need to be a hybrid 2.0 Web3 integration to load balance between the two. I've talked about this very often. I am not a maximalist. I don't believe Web3 takes over the world tomorrow. I believe that the symbiotic relationship between Web 1 on-prem or servers, Web 2, which is cloud-based infrastructure like Microsoft Azure, Amazon, AWS, Google Cloud, all that kind of good stuff. There'll be a working relationship with Web 3. And I think it's just another tool in the toolbox of developers and people that are deploying infrastructure to be able to tap into that decentralized ecosystem. You'll notice that, one of our partnerships that we announced, a while ago was with Lumen. That came with some. And
I actually looked
at
what's
going on with the Lumen partnership.
day-to-day job.
Well,
we actually were looking into them as a potential
Lumen
partner as well.
To build us a particular platform, and they are just about done, and we're just about ready to start to deploy additional resources on the Lumen network. This is important. This is a bridge between Web 2 and Web 3. It's very easy to work with the people that have the same ethos as us. It's very easy to find somebody in the crypto space, the blockchain space, that wants to partner with you and talk about all the things that we love, buddies. It's very difficult for us to work with the people that we don't necessarily agree with, but have to find common ground for the technology moving forward. And that's exactly what we're doing now. We're working with Web 2 based companies who are interested in Web 3. They know they need to make the transition. So scalability and being on demand is essential to be able to bring those those large players in the space who want to bring their infrastructure over. An example that I'll give you is this. Recently, FedEx announced that they were going to basically discontinue all of their data centers, right? So what were they? What are they just going to not run computers? No, they're looking at different options, and this is a place where Flux could flourish because we can provide them that infrastructure at a fraction of the cost. And guess what? They don't have to manage shit. We do it all. We do it all ourselves, so it's all good. Perfect example. The next pillar is targeted growth models. So,
you can tell they come from like a business background, like pillars of a business. Like that's very like mission statement wise,
decentralization.
I wonder if like companies that partner with Flux for hosting.
The new one that you're going to hear about today, and
Flux is a cryptocurrency, but
blockchain.
Who are they reaching out to be like, hey, I want to host with you, things like that. Like they want to work with an entity.
A lot of times, as a developer, you have kind of this dilemma.
Like
you
the
built
crypto
a platform,
and then also like actually has a registered like business
to AWS
EIN behind it.
How do I move that to Web 3? We're working on creating targeted growth models around different particular
FedEx,
areas.
They're not just going to be like, yeah, let's throw our platform on a random crypto.
And have a team
they're going to want to work with
an
actual company. So
this is important. We need to be evangelists. We need to be advocates of the platform. We need to really push forward as hard as we can for mass adoption. Mass adoption doesn't happen overnight. It happens almost instantaneously, as we found out with Flux. I mean, we were just chilling, building, and the next thing you know, we're the heir apparents to fill the vacuum that ETH is going to leave. And I believe we are that. And we'll talk about the proof of ETH moving to proof of work later on in the presentation. All right, next slide. So this is the evolution of the internet. And I've been here for all of it. So I know this, like, I'm a historian, so I can tell you all about Web 1. When Web 1 was launched, that was read-write, static only. So you had the original Amazon.com, you had MSN, you had Internet Explorer, Netscape Navigator, AOL, all these ones that were Web 1. And then along comes Web 2, which is more interactive. So that's more of a social hub. So you have, let's say, read, and now you have read write. You have input in, input out. You have social platforms, the Twitters, the MySpaces, the Facebooks, the companies that are building on top of Web 2, the Airbnbs, the Ubers, so on and so forth. So Web 2 is a lot more interaction. So now people are not just consuming data, they're consuming and sharing data, right? And now we come to Web 3, and Web 3 is read, write, and own. And if you're computer computer people, you got full control of the folder right now, read, write, and own. So, you know, that's the Bitcoin is in decentralized money, the Flux, decentralized compute. That's, you know, Brave browser, Filecoin, you know, all these different platforms that don't necessarily have a centralized entity that controls the platform. It's more integrated with the community. The community has the ability to participate and be part of the product. So really, this is truly what the evolution of the internet looks like. Next slide. The Flux ecosystem is massive. Right now, we're supported by 45 plus exchanges. I think it's in the neighborhood of about 50, 52, 53, the last I stopped counting. We're supported on damn near every major platform. You know, there's a couple exchanges that people would like to see eventually, but I'm not too worried about them.
I'm going to pause it right there. So thanks, chat, for making recommendations. Really appreciate it. So one thing that I think you and I have talked about, Seb, in the past is like, as we move closer to Ethereum, as a crypto miner, having the ability to liquidate your crypto is critical to cover operating costs. And so that's been one of our challenges with some of these altcoins. And especially as we get closer, I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what exchanges do once Ethereum goes to where it's going to be, because like Ethereum's not right now. I bet you there's a bazillion different transactions that occur on big exchanges like Coinbase and others like that for Ethereum. I mean, I'm one of them, cashing it out, you know, things like that. What are your thoughts on the fact of, in the next few weeks, is it critical for something like Flux to get on the biggest exchanges possible for liquidation as a miner?
I really think that would help them with adoption in terms of where hash rate will move.
Yeah.
But I also think it's like almost like a positive circle or whatever you'd call it, because also as you get more miners on there, you get more people who want to start trading the coin, which then also would provide more liquidity to like potential liquidity to exchanges and things like that. So it's kind of like a win-win situation almost, you know, like they want to get on exchanges, but also getting more miners that want to like move the coins around a lot more is also going to help them get on those exchanges. So hopefully that's what we will see. A lot of these altcoins like Flux show up on more exchanges and more established exchanges.
Yeah, I've seen them on quite a number more recently, which is awesome. Like, continue that growth. I know altcoins significantly. Most of these altcoins are not paying. You know, for those of you guys that are not familiar, a lot of exchanges, like, yeah, they'll take your interest on, and you submit to be on those exchanges, but you know what drives this to make it faster? Money. And a lot of these altcoins they don't have a money maker in front of them to be like, hey, here's $250,000. Let's make this happen in a week. You know, and that's the difference here. So, all right, let's continue on here talking about exchanges.
Because I think the way centralized exchanges are moving, that they'll be less relevant as we move forward, as DeFi starts to really get, you know, growing and catch fire. So, but you can see you have this wheel, and inside that wheel you have our partners, our labs, our mining pools, our community, our Web3 cloud infrastructure, all the good things, and then we break out from that. So, you know, one of the hardest parts for me is as a strategy guy is to explain to people for the very first time what Flux is and what the ecosystem is. I get probably 30 VC contacts every week that want to invest in Flux. They want to be you know, early token holders, or they want to be you know, equity ownership of the company. And I'm like, yeah, guess what? We can't do that. The only way that you can get exposure to the platform is actually go out and buy the asset. And even in probably one of the worst bear markets or bear snaps since like 2018, we're fighting the trend, and that's because people understand. They're falling down the rabbit hole. They're starting to understand what Flux is. Next slide. So we have strategy targets. With every good strategy, you should be able to pick out exactly what you're targeting. So here's the areas where we want to go after. We were going to go after web dev agencies. So we want to get in front of people, allow them to build on the infrastructure, because Flux is so damn cheap. Get as many people very early on. we're agnostic to code as long as you can Dockerize it. And also, you know, we'll talk about Kubernetes here in a bit. You know, there's no reason why you can't jump on our platform and you can't do it. And we're seeing more and more every day. It's growing exponentially. I mean, we're turning projects down now for labs because we're growing so fast, which is a good thing. You know, that's a good thing. You have to have a damn good project to get in labs. If you don't, then you're not going to get in there. And we're going to continue to keep pushing that even out beyond crypto and into the standard tech stacks, because we have a lot of people that are developers and they say, I want to develop in Web3, but I don't know anything about it. Well, guess what? You don't have to. So, you know, and that's our jobs, to be real good evangelists of the technology. We're going to target e-commerce and gaming platforms. You've already started to see our commitment to the gaming platforms. We've got JS13K, which we've sponsored. We've sponsored other gaming Mazer. We're going to continue to see Flux. We are in the process of working a deal to sponsor a e-gaming team, whatever. So I mean, I'm learning new stuff here too, guys. It's like this is apparently a big damn thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're also going to go after our freelance developers. There's a lot of freelance developers out there that could absolutely use the platform just for the cost savings, and the ability for them to deploy on demand and scale instantly is huge. We're going to go after existing apps, existing people, existing folks that are already deployed on different ecosystems. We're going to go after them as well. We had somebody who's working on standing up a fairly large part of their infrastructure on Flux, and they found us because I was using an app and they were struggling with uptimes. And I reached out to them and said, hey, you know, there is a way you can kind of do this as a load balance, and, you know, keep your big piece in Web 2, but also target Web 3 for deployment. So they really got excited about that. Blue chip Fortune 500 companies. I think we've already been having several discussions with companies that understand they need to reduce their overall technology spend. And how do they do that? Well, Flux can help with that. And that's exactly so. You're either the cheapest, you're the fastest, or you're the best. And we happen to be all three at this particular point in time. So it gives us a first mover advantage to get in and start to work with some of these folks. And new innovative technologies. This is the thing that we don't talk about enough. Folks that are doing stuff that haven't been done before, because that's the stuff that interests me. All these other things are important for the platform, but I want to see the innovative tech. The 𝐾𝐢𝐿 that launch on the very first, you know, decentralized platform, and Flux, you know, helps deploy their nodes. The 𝐾𝐢𝐿𝐵𝑒Ts, the folks that are developing on these different platforms, deploying on Kadena or Avalanche or, you know, any other of these, you know, layer ones, and they're coming to Flux to run their infrastructure. So these are innovative technologies. We've got Paradigm and Labs, which is electronic medical records. We're working on building out in all of our copious spare time. But it's really about being innovators in the space, and really getting Flux in the hands of the people, as many people as possible, so that they can utilize those tools. Next slide. So who are our competitions in Web 2? So, you know, you've heard me say this before. I don't believe we have competition. I believe we have opportunities. But with that being said, I think we need to take into consideration. And the following metrics have been built strictly around websites. Website seems to be the most common deployment for a lot of these different platforms, and the one where we could actually get some real, you know, quantitative data about what is deployed. And then obviously we broke that down in market share. So you got DigitalOcean, who has about 140,000 plus instances of unique websites, or this is not applications of websites. You got AWS, which is 1 million plus. You've got Google, which is, I think that number is low. I think it's closer to 1 million or more that are in deployment. And then you have Rackspace at around 275, and Microsoft Azure at around 200,000. So these numbers are very specific. They're not like everything that runs on the platform, because it's much more than that. But we had to isolate a particular area to talk about. This happens to be the area that we're going to focus on moving forward. Next slide. So what does that look like? Why did we concentrate on that? We want to compare what the cost is to run on these different platforms. And this is one of the first times we really started to talk about these pieces. So you have Flux on the side, but we're not going to talk about Flux first. We'll talk about Flux last. AWS, you're looking at about four virtual cores, 16 gigs of RAM. It's going to cost you about $98 a month. So standard, let's say a standard website deployment's around $98 a month. It can be cheaper, but there's bandwidth pieces in there and all that kind of good stuff. You got the Google platform, which is 4-core 16 gigs of RAM at around $104 a month. And these numbers can, obviously, guys, these numbers can fluctuate. If you're in tech, you know they can go up and down. You can add in particular features. You can take out features. You can less bandwidth, all that kind of good stuff, a la carte services. And Hetzner is four virtual cores, 16 gig of RAM, 160 gig of solid state drive, and 20 terabytes of traffic for $21. So there's the three that we're going to look at in terms of what we call competition. But if you look to Flux, there's something that's very unique that sticks out about Flux. Flux is 4 virtual cores, 16 gigs of RAM, 160 gigabyte of SSD, and 3 instances. So you can multiply that by 3. If you take that across the board, you're looking at over $300 for AWS, or close to $300, over $300 for Google. $60 for Hetzner, and Flux, you can divide that $10.31 down to just a couple bucks to deploy. That's a big freaking deal, man. Like just the cost alone of deployments and the fact that you get.
Gonna pause it right there. So guys, it sounds like we're getting like into like kind of like the decentralization part of Flux, like why Flux is so valuable in the Web3. Based off my understanding, we get more into the mining side, the node stuff here coming up here soon. So hopefully we haven't lost too much of you yet. 750 you guys in chat. Welcome. Don't forget to press the thumbs up there. I'm really curious. I mean, this is just spitballing from here on. They're breaking down pricing here on like why they can operate so much cheaper. Is it because there's no like physical infrastructure there's no physical infrastructure behind it because it's all decentralized behind it? You see what I'm saying? Like how are they able to cut out? Is there a middleman they're cutting out? Like how are they able to? I haven't heard it yet, but I'm curious to see, any thoughts on that from your perspective on how, just from an outside perspective looking in, on how they're able to undercut?
I'm guessing because the way, I mean, it's because, honestly, I don't know exactly how it works, to be fair. Like, where is this web storage,
My understanding is it's across it's across miners and everything. The middleman, they're saying the middleman is AWS. Oh, and it's interesting. So they're using AWS possibly. We'll have to talk with Daniel about it more to find out more about it. We use the node ops as decentralized system admins. Okay, so like it's layered then. So it's like AWS is your first layer, and then your node structure is the layer behind it. Okay, good to know. We'll have to hit up Daniel more and ask a little bit more about that to understand more about it. And this is very technical, guys. This is like way past the traditional miner's perspective, but it was just my curiosity. I'm in the tech space, so I understand the tech space a little bit better, and so that's why I'm like, all right, how's it working? So we'll chat. We'll definitely chat about Daniel with Daniel more about it. Let's continue this on.
Redundancy and
this
free
is also the
servers
stuff
is
that's
unbelievable.
like cool to know.
Yeah.
Like what's actually going on with this project. Like as miners, we tend to just be like, what's profitable? Let's mine that and let's cash it out. Well, this is why Flux is profitable. It's because they have all of this stuff going on, and if we want to help the projects, we should learn about this and educate people about this and spread the word on this in terms of just all the projects we believe in as miners.
Yeah, I mean, I think as miners and even YouTube content creators like ourselves, we see all these projects and we're involved. Like we mine these projects, and some of them take off, some of them go nowhere. But I think what you and I have both kind of come to realize, and most of us here over the last 12 months, is just the fact of like these projects, cryptocurrency, altcoins that are doing something are the ones that last.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is that doing something. And Gregory in chat kind of sums this up, which is great. Daniel Keller explained some too. Flux is cheaper because the Flux network doesn't have a cost associated with infrastructure. Individual node operators are up to that to evaluate if it's worth for them. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. So Daniel Keller explained that, kind of like the node operators, think of them as like colo data centers with all these node operators. So that's why like the nodes are so critical in this regard. So that's definitely good to know. Let's go ahead and continue on here. You ready? All right, here we go.
If I'm a chief information officer and I'm sitting planning for my network infrastructure, redundancy, uptime are absolutely paramount. And Flux fills that gap quite nicely. Next slide. So why does Flux have an advantage over these other platforms? Because they're heavy hitters, right? So this is what we grew up on. Every single person on this live stream are going to listen to this later on. They've cut their teeth. They've built their technology background around these platforms. So why has Flux got an advantage over them? Because they're pretty darn good the way they stand, kinda. Redundancy, redundant applications, and automatic failover for outages. So we're not in 10 colo data centers sitting in the United States, and if we lose half those data centers, half of our infrastructure goes offline. If we lose 5 nodes, or we lose an entire country in nodes, we will automatically fail over to the other locations. And I'll tell you a story about that because this is really important. It was terrifying when it happened, but it was one of the best experiences I've ever had with the project. And that was, we had I would say the better part of I don't know, about a year. It was before the fork, or before the merge for the new nodes, and we were like the halvening. Sorry, totally went blank there. We were working before we were working on the halvening. Somebody came into Discord and they said, "Hey, there's something wrong. The chain's not moving correctly." I think it was one of our pool operators. So, immediately we got the team involved and we looked at it and we said, yeah, there's a problem. There was a downstream issue that came from Bitcoin and it started knocking our miners off. The chain started to go in a different direction. We were freaking out. At one particular point in time, we lost about 60% of the network. The nodes would not validate because the chain had messed up, and then and I may be screwing it up telling it, but you get the general idea. We lost about 60% of our damn network and we never went down. Why is that important? That's a stress test that I would never recommend anybody doing, but we did it. And we came out the other side of it. The redundancy shone through. So our proof of concept that we believed would work if something like that happened was put into put into play, and we came out of it rock solid. So that's something to think about. Redundancy is important. Security. So we're already working. You got Docker Hub, you got IPFS, and we're going to be continuing to add different levels of security, end-to-end encryption pieces like that. Interchain operability. You hear me talk about it all the damn time. It's the holy grail of blockchain. The ability to interact with different platforms, and Flux is pioneering that. We have 7 parallel assets deployed right now. Everything from ETH, Binance Smart Chain, KDA, Solana, Tron. We announced our Avalanche is out now, and then Ergo is coming down the pike as well. So we're going to head back and do a proof of work, which is going to be a big deal. I like that. So the ability for us to work with other platforms and them to work with us is a huge win for the project. It's also the hardest damn thing I have to explain when I'm talking to somebody, because they don't understand how you can be in one world and live in another world as well. And unless you've used parallel assets or went through Fusion and maybe went to one of the other chains, it is a difficult concept to grasp, but that's okay. That's our job. We're going to package that up. We're going to be able to share it with people. And honestly, last week, #1 performing chain on Binance Smart Chain, Flux. So we're, and that's saying something, because, well, there's a lot of shit coins over there, but for us to be leading the pack was pretty amazing. So I
pause it right there. Tell it as it is. Bunch of shit coins.
Yeah, shots fired.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you: are you currently running a Flux node, or have any plans to at some point, or is that kind of?
I wanted to make one, but okay. I haven't got the time to set that up yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some videos of different of you guys doing it. It's really interesting, and it seems like an amazing way. Like, if you're gonna hold your mind Flux long term anyway, why not just chuck it in a node and have it grow for basically free?
Yeah, no, I built one, a Cumulus node, got it set up on a little PC, but it constantly needed attention. And that was the one downside that like, now there's a watchdog feature that I didn't utilize and maybe I should have, but it constantly needed attention with like a Flux update or a restart here. So I'm curious on if I ran it, if it was hardware driven. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. Most content creators and Seb, and there's several in chat can vouch for this. It's like you have very limited time. You know what I mean? So like spinning my wheels on this every day. So I may revisit it and turn one back up. And then, because it wasn't terrible, I worked with Max Voltage. He really helped me out with it. Now that I've gone through that, I could do it again on my own. I know someone like, by the way, shout out to DJ Minds. Gonna throw it that way. DJ Minds is working literally on a business model on building Flux nodes that are pretty much set up, and you just get them and finish the last few steps and you're good to go. So kudos to him. He has a business model on that. Go follow him on his channel, guys, because that would be huge for a lot of people that don't have the tech background. But I do want to revisit it. One, because I have the Flux available to me, more Flux available to me to do a larger node now compared to just the, what was the one? 2000 Flux, I think it was, the Cumulus node. Chat will remind me. But yeah, and I'm curious on, as Flux hits 3.0, as Web 3.0 becomes more mainstream and gets more adopted, this is a question that would be great for Daniel Keller too. Do we project that your Flux operators earn more? You see what I'm saying? Like your Flux operators are kind of like your hosting group, like your individual hosting for Web3. So like as time goes on, as an operator, now granted the operator number is going up, more nodes are getting added, but slowly it's kind of plateaued. Do you earn more? Because then it's like, damn, get in now, because over the next 3 years, you know, what are we going to see? So just my thoughts. Any feedback on that?
Yes, that sounds really interesting. That's a good point, something to think about. I did see him in the chat just a second ago.
Daniel Keller, yeah.
Yeah. So he says, yes, keep going. All right, yeah.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. We're going to continue.
He'd rather listen to his own voice than ours.
That's right. Here we go.
You know, and I think you're going to continue to keep seeing that as we move back through our adoption cycle. We're kind of at a lull right now as we're moving through this bear market, but we'll start up that adoption cycle again pretty soon, I would imagine. Decentralization, censorship resistant. Now I hear a lot of people talk about this. You've seen a lot of news media around this, you know, and they say, what about deploying X, Y, or Z? Well, you know, what it comes down to is whoever's deploying on the network is accountable for what they deploy. So, I mean, a phone company can't be held responsible for the traffic that goes across it the same way that we can't be responsible for the traffic that goes across Flux. But it's not impossible for the end user. You have to be accountable and know that you will be held accountable at some point if you do something nefarious or launch something that's completely against the rules of the community as we move forward with our 𝐻𝐸. So it's important. Decentralization is absolutely paramount, but make no mistake, you can't do nefarious things and do things that are going to damage the product and the people and that are building out this platform. So you will ultimately be accountable to it. You can't. It's a difficult conversation because maximalists will say it's decentralization or nothing, and we're maximalists. However, you can't put people at risk, and don't put yourself at risk. Don't do things that you know are shady, so to speak. So with that being said, you know, decentralization is always at our forefront. Next version of 𝐻𝐸 will also address some of the community's concerns around that. So we will have like a little terms of service for the platform that the community has voted on. I would say there's only like 2 or 3 things in my mind that would not be that wouldn't be okay to deploy on this platform or any platform. You know, because it would be disturbing and it would go against all of our moral ethos as well. So, you know, your ethos is around decentralization, but you have to have a moral compass as well. So just remember that. our watchtower. So Docker containers automatically getting updated and pulled. So having the ability to update your application and not have to go out every single time you have to change something to the Docker, and it'll automatically pull it down and you're good to go. And the other big thing, low cost. So redundancy, security, interoperability, decentralization, our watchtower initiative, and low cost. These are the Flux advantages. These are the reasons why Flux is superior than these other projects. 13,000 nodes, guys. Yesterday we broke 13,000 nodes. 13,000 decentralized nodes all across the world. And if you I often pull up the dashboard just to look at that spread that's everywhere, and it just blows my mind. You know, you guys have really stepped up. You've really I mean, you guys have blown past my expectations. I said post halvening, we'll be sitting at around 10,000 nodes, and you guys have just decimated that. And there's even more demand for Titan nodes to be able to, you know, be participatory in the network and things like that. So it's all good things. Next slide. So Flux is a blockchain and Web3 by birth. So our goal was always to be blockchain centric. So as we developed out the platform, some of the pieces that we took was obviously no KYC to run these particular things. There are folks out there that make you KYC to run these nodes. We're not one of them, because you have a self-sovereign ID that was created specifically for you, so that would address that issue. So, you know, everything in your node network and everything in Zelcore kind of revolves around that self-sovereign decentralized ID.
I'm going to pause it right there. So are you curious? Are you running Zelcore? Do you have a Zelcore wallet?
Yeah.
You do? Okay. So have you seen that 𝐶_ID feature?
No, I haven't really paid that much attention to myself.
So as you start to get like more invested into the like Flux ecosystem, so like Flux nodes and other features, so it's almost like, and please chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 𝐶_ID is almost like your passport. It's almost like an identifier. And so the nice thing is as you're kind of navigating the Flux ecosystem on their different apps or like nodes and stuff like that, they have the ability to authenticate yourself. And you literally just like I was doing it the other day, checking out my Titan node on the webpage. It's like it's a home.run on Flux. Well, when you get on there, you can literally click 𝐶_ID, and if you have Zelcore open, it just says like, hey, can we authenticate you? You say yes, and bam, you're done. And then you can view everything. It's really cool. It's a really good feature.
It's like their own two-factor authentication system, basically.
Yes.
Oh, that's like cool implementation.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's something that I would have never thought about that was like needed, but then it kind of gets rid of like put in like you don't have to put in like any passphrases, and you don't have to put in any credentials or nothing, as long as you have it available. So yeah, it's really cool. If you guys haven't checked it out, please go check it out. Are you ready to continue?
Oh yeah.
Right. ID. Our on-chain message signing and for deployment. So you can sign messages for deployment, which makes it nice and seamless and, you know, easy for deployment. Well, easy is relative. I couldn't do it, but there's lots of people doing it. So I'm more the business guy. Blockchain payments for deployment. So one of the big things that people ask me about is they love the fact they can pay in Flux to deploy, but they want to pay in other cryptocurrencies. And not only do they want to play in other cryptocurrencies, they also want to pay in fiat. So one of the things that we're working on in Jetpack 2.0 is the ability to take pegged fiat dollars that will basically passively market make or settle the transaction back to Flux. What does that mean, Dan? It means that if I have a business and I want to deploy 50 plus servers and I have to budget for that, I need to budget in fiat, because that's how my budget is accepted. I can't say it might be this much Flux, or it might be this much Bitcoin, or it might be this much. It has to be a specific number, and you have to tie to that. So eventually you'll be able to use PayPal, Vimeo, Stripe, all the different platforms to pay in fiat, a fiat pegged. So as you saw that the numbers earlier, let's say it was $4 to deploy, or $10 to deploy those Flux nodes. You can now pay that, or will be able to pay that in fiat, pegged to whatever Flux price is, to allow, and it'll automatically settle to Flux. So you'll have a whole payment on Rail, so that way, when folks are putting their budgets together and they need to understand what they're projecting for the next, year, it's not something nebulous. It's something very factual, that they're pegging it to their local fiat currency, which is a big deal. And randomized application deployment on qualifying nodes. The nice thing about this could be expanded. Actually, you could put 0.5, which is geolocations, but the way that Flux is structured now, we just randomly deploy your nodes. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's actually facilitated by Flux OS, and which is great, because you're going to get if you're deploying 5 nodes, you're going to get 5 nodes in 5 geographically diverse locations, so that you have maximum redundancy and maximum backup. But let's hypothetically say that you want to be regulatory compliant, and you want to build something on Web3, but you want to also make sure that you're meeting the regulations, the area that you're at. In comes geolocations, and geolocations has been deployed today. So why is geolocations important? It's an opt-in process, so you don't have to opt into geolocations, but if you want to, say I'm a game developer and I want to run a game server. Well, I don't want to be sitting in the United States and running a game server in the EU. I want to deploy that directly to a specific area within a region inside of the United States for low latency, low ping times, high availability, and uptime. Geolocation allows you to do that. We thought that was one of the biggest things we could add to this product, because if we really want to truly be decentralized, all you have to do is deploy and don't select where you're going. It's going to go everywhere. If you want to have regulatory compliance and guidelines around what you're deploying, then you can use geolocations as well. So it's the best.
I'm gonna pause it there. So it sounds like that, like with your node operators, because that's where everything's running on, that if you opt in to show your geolocation, then it can be used with, like, on the platform to say, like, this is in Germany or this is in, wherever it is, the US, which is pretty cool to know that, like, when you're turning up these Flux nodes, like, your geolocation is not locked in. Like, you still hold that, that to be super questionable, and people don't know it, which is, I think, critical. Any thoughts on that?
Not really.
Awesome. Let's go.
So both worlds. Next slide.
Next slide.
So why is Flux the leader in Web3 infrastructure? So we're 100% fully decentralized cloud infrastructure. That means we're not ran in any colo data center, and then people say, hey, we're a decentralized node platform. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're running in 20 colo data centers, right, that are ran by people. Or somebody says that they're running a DeFi project, yet their entire infrastructure is running on AWS. Flux was built for this. This is what we are. If you want to be a real decentralized product, then run on a decentralized platform. We have enterprise scalability. These numbers are way off, because we're over 13,000. When I put this together, I updated it, I don't know, probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, we were around 12.5. Now we're over 13. So these numbers are even higher than this. So we have enterprise scaling capabilities. So 77,000 CPUs. Jeez, I can't even, that just blows my mind. 240 terabytes of RAM and 5 petabyte of storage. Now, that last area will be, once we launch Project Thunder, a lot of people have heard me talk about 20 terabytes. We're eventually going to have storage nodes. The first level of entry is 20 terabytes of standard hard drive. Okay. So if you're looking at what can I do to deploy on and earn extra Flux on storage nodes, keep that in mind. 20 terabytes. That's a number that.
Have you heard much about their project there?
No.
Thunder?
So is this going to be like hard drive mining, basically?
Yeah, correct. So remember how what was it? 𝐶HIA, like 𝐶HIA like flopped, right? And like everybody in my Discord, I've been like, hold on to your hard drives, like don't go like parting ways with them. So yes, they're offering storage mining, and it's their Project Titan, and I've known about this for a little while. So what that is that it allows you to go ahead, and he did say your entry is 20 terabytes, which is not that expensive. If you guys look at hard drive costs now versus like a few years ago when they like, remember we had that whole shortage and like hard drives were through the roof. 20 terabytes is not bad. So
no,
20
terabytes. That's like the cost of one 3080 6 months ago.
Yeah.
If
So
that.
it'll be pretty cool. It'll be pretty cool. So now they're giving you other methods. And now granted, I don't know an insane amount about Project Thunder, but from an outside perspective looking in, it is pretty much decentralized storage. So imagine Dropbox, but decentralized. Like the whole security aspect of it. That's what comes to mind for me. And then you end up being part of that. So like your node is holding data, but it's all fully encrypted. Like you can't see or access any of it or anything like that. Yeah, it's really cool. So 20 terabytes. You ready to learn more?
That is awesome. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You need to remember. So we need to increase that footprint. You could also see us integrate products like Filecoin or storage right into the Flux platform as well for storage. We've done it with IPFS and we'll do it with other platforms. We're not agnostic to any one particular technology. And even our technology, as we develop it out, FluxShare or Fluxbox or whatever the hell we're going to call it, right? The Dropbox, decentralized Dropbox competitor. It works today.
There you go.
We use it today. We send files back and forth.
I haven't
listened
listened to it, I promise.
It's even going to be better once we have our persistent storage model, because now you can store all of your files in a decentralized cloud, completely secure. So that's a big deal. And our peer-to-peer design. So essentially load balancing, instant scaling process, plug and play enterprise application development via Docker Hub containers and persistent storage mechanisms. Right now we have over 7,000. That number is again low because of where we're at. I think we're closer to the 10,000 number. So and we're doing about 5,000 plus user API calls per minute. And I think that number is grossly low because I didn't update it. I think it's much higher than that.
7,000 is actually 16,000.
16,000. Well, shit, I blew that. Okay, so change that number, guys. Like, you guys are killing me. How do you make strategic plans when you guys just keep blowing through the numbers? I mean, seriously,
it keeps growing.
Give me some time to catch up.
CPUs are at 90,000 now.
We have 90,000 CPUs. Holy shit balls. Okay, so 16,000 unique deployments on the platform, and I would say if we're at 16,000, we're probably at triple the API calls per minute, and we're continue to keep blasting through that. So that's one of the these are some of the reasons why we're the leader of Web3 infrastructure. Go ahead, next slide. So what's running on Flux? People always ask that. They say, well, you can go to the marketplace and you can look at it, but there's some really big, important pieces. And these are just a tiny fraction. And by the way, this has changed exponentially. So you have like Ethereum and Kadena and Haven. We have Coinbase's Rosetta running there, Ravencoin block explorers, Flux block explorers, Polkadot nodes, pre-search nodes, Firo nodes, Dash nodes, Pivx nodes, websites, dApps, front ends, back ends, Minecraft, game servers, TeamSpeak, you name it, all these different platforms. Now we're seeing a big influx, no pun intended, of dApps. So you have Mirror Protocol, Sifdex, KD Launch, Keep Network, Cadix. I mean,
absolutely. What do you got?
So when he says Minecraft is running on Flux, obviously not all of Minecraft. So is it like people's private servers? You can run a private Minecraft server on Flux? Is that what that is?
Maybe. I think I see this and that could be the case, like TeamSpeak and stuff like that. I think as he was going through these, I'm like, wow, these are some big names, but I'm like, there's no I don't see the brand recognition. Like when I log into Minecraft, I don't see a little, like the first thing that comes to mind, like I play a lot of high-res games. Some of you guys may know the company, some of you may not, but like when you log into their game, it literally has like the Georgia advertisement, like, and they paid for that type of deal, or it's there for a reason because of like where they're located. It's like, I don't see Flux anywhere in order to get like that brand recognition. Like you put Minecraft and Flux together, like in any type of ad, like that would be huge. And some of these other brands as well, I think you're the same way. It's like, it sounds like Flux is on the right boat, going down the right way. It's just that I love to see Flux become a household name because there's some items in here, poker, Minecraft, TeamSpeak, These are all well-known software platforms, which is awesome. You know what I mean? But so I think you're right. And chat has kind of helped out a little bit. Chat seems well more educated than you and I, which is awesome. Like, kudos to chat. Shout out to you guys. You guys have commented on a few things here and there, which I think is huge. So that's good to know that. Somebody had commented up here? Where was it? Somebody had said, Minecraft, you run your own private server. Okay, so like instead of me turning up hardware in my house and running a Minecraft server on, you can run one on Flux, which is awesome. Like, very cool. Good to know. Ready to continue?
Yeah.
Every day you turn around, somebody mock just deployed, right? You know, so a lot of the Kadena projects that are deploying on Kadena running on Flux. So it's really nice to see. We have we have software platforms, just a few, like the 𝗔𝗽𝗵𝐻, the very first decentralized Oracle, Private Bin, Yancey, Whoople, you name it. So this is just like a little snapshot of what it is. But one thing you can take from this slide is the fact that it is very diverse. And you talk about interchain or operability. We're right there under infrastructure. You see that we're already starting to spread it into these other chains. You could probably add ergo nodes there at some point. You can add all these different platforms to help them become more decentralized as well. Next slide. So what we would share is this is a proof of concept by the 𝐶IF chain. So 𝐶IF chain is a front end DEX that's been deployed on Flux to have a readily hosted backup in case of their main source outage. So this is the product that is looking at how can I use Web 2 and how can I use Web 3. I can capitalize on Web 2 because my infrastructure is there, but I can also build redundancy onto Web 3. So their front end is running 3 instances simultaneously and load balancing between them. The cost for them to deploy that redundancy, Web 2, what they're already paying for, what they're already running, Web 3, now that redundancy, that backup, that bulletproof go-to costs them 37 cents a month. That's probably a little higher now with the Flux price going up because it's not pegged. But
it's a little higher.
You get the point. You know what I mean? You get the point that you can deploy on Flux and really kind of load balance between the two. And then on the right-hand side is just a little snapshot of what their DEX looks like when it's running. So that's kind of a proof of concept. These are the projects that we believe will come in droves once they figure out, hey, I can have redundancy in both places. I can build in both places. I can use my current code language that I've built, a project that I built. I don't have to redesign it. I can deploy it in a Docker. I can deploy it on Flux. We make it super easy. And Jetpack and Jetpack 2.0 is going to definitely push that to the forefront. Next slide. So one of the other areas where we're working on is Project Nebulous, which is our Infura competition. So this has been pretty quiet because we've continued to keep building on this. But right now, as it stands today, 𝐶𝐿core is using our Ethereum light nodes hosted on Flux to minimize requests and daily dependencies from Infura. The ultimate goal is for us to actually take the place of Infura and become a decentralized, option. Is it going to happen today? No. We do 5 million plus requests a day on Flux, about 2 million on Infura. As 𝐶𝐿core was being built out, it was all Infura because Flux didn't exist. Flux OS, Flux nodes didn't exist yet. So we've already got it to a point where I think we could simplistically ratchet that down to, under 1 million very quickly and explode it on the top side. So I think this is something that's really going to be awesome. The light node is running on 25 instances simultaneously and load balancing in between them. What does that cost us as a project, right? Well, that total monthly cost is about 9.35. So in this case, that would be, as of today, $14.57. The price, I think, is up. It went up this morning. So I don't know. We based it off of a roundabout number. So you get the idea. Dirt cheap. So, and then, we're going to basically work on deploying that out to people to utilize that infrastructure as well. Because people say, well, if you build something that's like an Infura competitor or will do things like Infura, are you going to monetize it? Well, hell yes, we're going to monetize it. And, that'll come down the road when we're really comfortable with it. And people can start using that as one of the tools that's deployed on Flux. Next slide. So one of the strengths, the biggest strengths of our project is our tokenomics, and we're proud of them. Most projects, if they're hiding their tokenomics or they're not presenting them to you, or they're keeping them low key, and when you see, 60% or 70% going to a singular VC, and they're, the team's getting the rest and the community's getting, 1 or 2%. Not us, man. We're proud of our tokenomics. We 94%, almost 95% is community owned. So you have to mine it, you have to run nodes, you have to run infrastructure, and basically you're going to be rewarded for that. This is really a focus that's put directly on the project and the community.
Real quick. Yeah, no, that's definitely really interesting. I was actually looking at the exchange listing liquidity. So that's like 1.7%. Is that what that says there? Yeah. So that's interesting to see that, like, even though, like, people don't realize, like, it's pay to play. Like, in order to get on these exchanges and stuff, you definitely have to pay. I can only imagine what it is for some of these bigger exchanges, because they did say they were on 52 exchanges earlier. But the nice thing here, and where a lot of us are talking about, most of the people that are watching this or that are checking this out, they're miners. They're on that side. They're miners. They're node operators, things like that. So it's awesome to see the percentage of that, and then on top of that's the parallel assets, which that rewards us as well. You know what I mean? Like that's a double whammy there, which is fantastic. All right, ready to continue?
Yep. We have taken not 1 cent from VC or big money. This is, it like I said earlier, it blows people's minds when they come in. They want to invest in the project. They want to take a large stake, and it's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, hey, we need to get 1 million Flux. I'm like, you're going to have to go to the market, because that's the only way you can participate with it. You can't go to Satoshi Nakamoto and ask him to, get some equity in Bitcoin. So it's the same. It's the same way with Flux. We're real pleased with our continued quest to be ASIC resistant. 𝐶hash has really held up well. So big shout out to 𝐿LeDeeb and the entire team that put 𝐶hash together. You guys really, you hit it out of the park. And Leaky Dan will tell you that you want to keep an eye on that as well, because I think there's going to be some things that are going to happen before this ETH merge that I think is going to really help a lot of people in some different areas. So can't say more than that. And they're probably going to kick my ass for saying that.
Wait, do you know what he's talking about there?
I personally don't, because if I did, I'd just leak it out outright. But it sounds like what he's talking about is the fact of, like, okay, so 𝐶hash is very ASIC resistant, right? And like Flux and Daniel Keller have always preached, like, GPU miners are the bread and butter, like they're the foundation of it. And to hear like they have something coming out before the Ethereum merge to, quote, he didn't say this, but I'm paraphrasing, help with even more, that's what I got from that statement, help with more ASIC resistant. It's like, damn, that would be awesome, like, to see, because that was my thought, was like, as we get closer to the merge and after the merge, like, I've never seen a Flux ASIC before. But it's not to say it's not possible, but it sounds like they're putting some things in place to counter that.
Awesome. All right, let's keep watching.
Block rewards. We have 3. That number on the unique wallet side is, I think, probably low. 300,000 plus unique wallets. I can tell you right now, there's there's over, let's say 400 to 500, maybe even higher, and 400 to 500,000 in 𝐶hash Core, and then about 1.2 million unique addresses that are generated out of that platform alone. So, I think that number's way low. I don't know where we got that number, but I
would have to look myself up.
I think that's just directly wallets that are like on Flux, but that number's not, that's not correct. So our 50/50 node, everybody asks about that. That really has been super beneficial. The parallel assets have really kind of leveled the playing field across the board. Whether you're running nodes or you're mining, you're getting paid, and and over the past year and a half, you've been pretty damn happy with that, and we're happy with how it's all came together. People ask about our block times. Are we going to change them? No, we're not a layer 1 scaling solution. We happen to have a blockchain for consensus mechanism and validation, but we'll be working more on proof of useful work and moving into that ecosystem. 70,000 plus transactions a day. That number is exponentially low. That is probably doubled at this particular point in time. It could be even more than doubled, because every node transaction, we are the most used, other than Bitcoin, fork of Bitcoin. We're like fourth largest fork. We blow away other projects. I won't name who they are, but projects with fairly large market caps, we put them to shame. So pretty awesome. 2.5 years of having, we have a halving coming up next year, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And we have a max supply of 440 million. Next slide. Our community snapshot has been insane. Our community has grown exponentially. So of April of 2020, you're looking at your rank 1250. In October, we're still not even on the radar. And then here comes January of 2021. We're in rank 1000. And in April, we're getting close to 750, and then all the way up there past. I think we've been as high on coin market cap as I think 112, 113 at one point in time. We're gonna break the top 100. I know we are. Wait till Bitcoin gets its shit together and starts making a march. Come on, guys. Come on, Maxis, push that stuff. So our followers have went exponential as well, right? So if you look at Twitter is very highly engaged. We have a marketing and PR team that is about 5 or 6 people internal. We also have an external marketing company we have started working with this past year. We also have our good old army who's out there beating down the doors and being super good evangelists of the platform. So we're super excited. So what does this mean? This means we're reaching that part, the beginning of that exponential growth model, right? So you're starting to see it was slow, then all of a sudden. And I think you're going to see the exact same thing with our network as well. So as Davey said, when I built this thing out, I put 7,000 and now it's 16,000. So, crazy. All right, next slide. So some of the upcoming potential features are geolocation specific, to allow customers to have a preference of where their application is spawned. Geolocation works in a couple different ways. You have geolocation, which is region, which let's say the United States, but then you need to get granular inside of that as well. So say you went East Coast versus West Coast, or Midwest, or say you went particular states. Why is that important? Well, in Europe, say what the law is in Germany may not be the law in France. So you want to deploy a regulatory compliant application on top of Flux, you need to be able to geolocate within that actual region. So you can break it down into finite pieces. So right now, how we have, you can deploy in different regions. We're going to eventually get it down to where you can deploy, I'm not going to go as far as say in a city, but let's say in a geographical, like tri-state or tri-state or tri-city region. So that's a big deal.
Or the other way around. Like, for instance, you don't want to deploy anything in Canada so that 𝐶𝐹 can't use any of your applications. That's another way of doing it.
Well, that sells itself right there.
Or Red Panda. Keep this moving.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Exactly.
The next area is, Pepsi or Coke, Ford or Chevy, Docker or Kube, right? So we would be remiss not to want to include Kubernetes into this process, because there's a big portion of enterprise infrastructure that runs on these platforms, right? So we want to make sure that we do our best to give them the choice, and then they can work on it. So you're going to start to see us working on deploying Kubernetes specifically on Titan nodes. The Lumen piece is a big piece of that as well, because they have some demands of themselves. They need to be able to if they're going to recommend, a dual platform, Web 2, Web 3, they need to have Kubernetes support. So we're going to focus in on that as well. And of course, our persistent storage and database, storing persistent data and storage that are durable in case of outages. So this is like super. I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? Once we've deployed persistent storage, it's on like Donkey Kong. We can compete with any single platform out there, and we can make sure that we'll be the cheapest, the fastest, and the best. Spread far and wide, we can do it. And I'm pleased to tell you that we're really we've already deployed IPFS. We're already looking at our persistent storage piece as well, and putting that into beta not too long. And the other thing you have to remember as well is we built this internally. We didn't go to a third party and say, hey, you know, give us your persistent storage model that we can deploy on our platform, and now we can say we have persistent storage. We didn't do that, right? We're doing it directly through the platform. And that's the awesome thing. So a closer example of that is when we were building out 𝐶ore, we were building out Flux OS, we needed two-factor authentication. You have to. It's a security piece. Do we include that? Do we basically use what's already been created, Google or, you know, some of these other two-factor, and then you're depending on a third party for access to your applications? Hell no. We built two decentralized two-factor authentication. So all of the components that we build on this platform, if our ultimate goal is to have them completely decentralized, and persistent storage will be exactly that. It'll have iterations like everything else, but it'll be a decentralized model built on the platform. Next slide. So now we're going to start talking about numbers and projections. So again, these are numbers that the team has put together. We've worked, we've studied, we've looked at different things. We feel comfortable with stating these things, much like we were comfortable stating it on our first version of a white paper. With that being said, these numbers are never guaranteed. Anything can happen. So you listening to me right now, put this in your mind, right? This is Amazon year 2. Projections for the project are just that. So don't FOMO out and run out and buy a crap ton of Flux because Dan said it's going to be X, Y, and Z. These are projected numbers based on metrics that we gathered and developed around growth models. So what does that look like? With that being all said, and asterisk, based on assumptions of internal forecasts. All right, guys. So just remember that. So year 1, we've already.
About it. I was dreaming. Maybe.
Yeah, I was dreaming. Yeah. Year 1, we wanted 1,000 paying dApps. We've passed that. The average cost per dApp, $10. It's much less than that because we haven't adjusted our metrics so basically we haven't kicked the cost of deploying up, but we will at some particular point to neutralize it. So our goal was to have it as cheap as humanly possible, almost free, to be able to make this happen. So 1,000 apps, average cost $10. MRR is around 10,000, and you know your growth rate. We left it blank because we didn't know what it would be, and then you know around average of $120,000. So at 16,000 deployments, we've basically passed that exponentially. Year 2, we're looking at about 10,000. So we were already into our year 2 metrics, right? So 10,000 deployed playing dApps. The average cost per dApp for redundancy and build out, we estimated around $25. Our MRR is somewhere around $250,000, and you're looking at about 300 or 3 million. 300, I wish. 3 million in that spot, and then you're around that's around a 2,400% increase in usage. Year 3, and you'll notice remember I talked about this exponential breakout, and then you're going to have this trough that starts to form. It's just like this that'll start to go. So you're going to see that 2,000% increase because everybody's going to start deploying. They're going to run to it. Once they figure it out, once they're able to deploy on it, you're going to see a large influx, no pun intended. Year 3, you're going to see that start to stabilize. You're going to have about 25,000 paying dApps. You're going to be about 1.2 million on your MRR. You're about 15 million total revenue for 400% growth model. Year 4, 50,000. So now keep in mind, okay, that we talked earlier about how when you pay for these apps or dApps or websites or oracles or whatever, that generates revenue. So what does that revenue mean to the actual asset, the utility-based asset? And the next slide, we'll talk about that.
That's
so year 4, we're looking at 50,000 average cost for deployment, depending on, you know, the scale. Because what we looked at is, you know, people were deploying small pieces and the scale starts to grow. So their deployments start to grow. So now you're in the neighborhood of about $100 for deployment. That's giving you 5 servers, geolocations, redundancy across the board. That's seriously ridiculous in terms of costing. And then year 5 is our target goal, which is 100,000. That puts us right on par with, you know, where we believe we can be in 5 years, and that's about 180 million in total revenue coming in on that. Next slide. 200% model. So what the hell does that mean to me? Well, it means if year 1 we have 1,000 paying, our average cost of Flux is $1. We're getting about 12,000 in Flux revenue. $1.50 USD. We're making about $18,000 in revenue. Year 2 we're doing 10,000. The AOV is 1.5 Flux. Annual income's around $250,000. Average Flux price will be about $2.50. Our revenue generated out of that would be about $450,000. That's a 2,400% increase. Year 3, we're at about 25,000. We're about 2 Flux AOV. Annual income is going to be around 600,000 Flux. Average Flux price will be $10. Revenue would be about 6 million. So you see a big jump from year 2 to year 3. And by the way, these numbers, these statistics, they don't take into account any kind of equalization of the price. So raising the price up or neutralizing it down to bring more people on. These are only speculatory pieces.
I'll pause it there. So you're telling me he's projecting year 5 to see Flux at $100.
That's a cool, like, 110x from here or something like that.
So what we're saying, guys, is hold your Flux.
This is a sure bet.
That's right. Buy now for $19.90. Buy our financial plan now for $19.99 for 10 easy payments.
No.
If a YouTuber was giving financial advice, it'd be like, well, sign up for my members and I will give you the secret to wealth, right? All right, let me continue.
We're also not saying that this won't happen either. Like,
we don't know. Who knows?
This could be realistic. Like, that's what he thinks, and he knows more about Flux than any of us. But also, as he said, these are not guarantees by him either. But that's, I mean, 100x from here. I mean, I'd be happy with that.
Oh yeah, 100%. All right, let me continue here.
Increase my bags a bit.
That's right. You better get started the next 3 days. He said, "Let's go." All right, I'm gonna start back.
Year 4, you're looking at about 50,000, 2.5 Flux, 1.5 million Flux for your annual income at around $50 Flux, $75 million in revenue. And then year 10 is 100,000, which is our target goal at year 5, 3.0 Flux, 3.6 million Flux generated, around $100 per Flux for deployment. Because remember, we're settling all this with cash, but we're immediately deploying it back to Flux. You're looking at about $360 million, which is about a 380% increase. So these numbers, as I stated earlier, and I'll state it again, these are forecasts based on our numbers internally that we've gathered from other platforms, looked at what they're doing, look at their rate of growth. We've looked at all these things. I am very comfortable saying that I feel that we're in the right place at the right time. I can't project the future. I can only give you strategy. We need to continue to keep growing the platform and do exactly what we did. We projected $1 at like year 3, and we were almost right on the money. So I think that as this product is really coming close to a finished product, now it's just about getting it in the hands of the people that need to use it. So one of the big questions is people are going to say, well, if Flux is at $100 and you're generating $360 million worth of revenue, where does that revenue go? Well, that revenue will get distributed back to the teams that are building, the node operators, the miners, the community, the people that are actually running the platform. How that looks and that makeup, I'm not there yet, guys. Give me 5 years to get there. But essentially, our goal is to always have it go back to benefit the community, and we make sure we bring that asset price up by making it. It is the meat and potatoes of Flux. It is with a lot of projects will build a gas model around deployments. Not us, man. We're using Flux for every part of that and every part of the ecosystem. I know there's going to be a shit ton of questions, and people are going to be like, Dan, we think you're crazy. I don't think I'm crazy. I think I'm 100% sane. And I think that this project is that damn good that we're going to move, and we're going to move quickly. So, you know, our goal is, and by the way, if you take a snapshot of what Amazon or Microsoft Azure or Web 2 just overall, this is a fraction, a teeny tiny minute fraction of what they're doing. Jeff, do you know, or David, do you know what it is? What the total for all Web 2 VPS providers, cloud providers for last year is? Do you know?
We're in the billions.
Yeah, it's billions and billions, but I mean, yeah, it's insane. All right, next slide.
Number somewhere. That was it.
That was it.
Whoa.
So, what did we learn today? We learned today that we're working hard on all facets of the project. We're working hard to really develop out things. We have projections, internal projection models that we're using. We believe we're on target, and the state of the union for Flux is strong. One of the other areas that I wanted to touch base on, and I'll be putting out an official, I'm hoping to get it done before this ETH merge, but I don't know that it'll happen, is a foundational report, you know, our treasury report really is what it is. It's treasury report. We're in excess of almost 10 million Flux right now in the treasury. We are well funded, and we are ready to fuck something up. I mean, we're ready to go out there and go after people. So, you know, we'll talk a lot more probably. I don't know. Maybe we'll do an AMA around the treasury as well, or I'll just do a Medium post or something like that. But I'll try to get it done before this ETH thing. But this ETH thing is kind of kicking all of our butts. So, and I see questions about proof of useful work. Davey, you want to put up our proof of useful work slide?
There.
I can. Give me 1 second.
This PowerPoint presentation and this proof of useful work guide, we'll post on Discord. Feel free to, you know, pick it apart, ask questions, because that's exactly what we're here for. I know I'm going to hear a shit ton of questions about the costing model and projections, but I'm okay with that.
I'm going to pause it there. Have you looked into or heard anything about their proof of useful work or not yet?
No, the last time I heard about that was with Alephium.
Yeah, so they're going a heavy route of like proof of useful work. So you're actually like, you can rent hash rate to almost like a rent.
I might have been wrong there. That might have been proof of less work with Alephium.
Yes, that's probably what you're thinking. Yeah, so useful work actually.
Okay, yeah, no.
We talk a lot about like use case, you know what I mean? Like where can we use this? And then actually you could step in. I remember when I talked with Daniel Keller about this, him and I did an interview one-on-one, and then I know 𝐷𝐷 did a really good interview. If you guys haven't checked that out, go check it out. 𝐷𝐷 is very much more knowledgeable in this space than I will ever be. But he had a really good interview with Daniel Keller and questioned a lot, which made it of value, and talked a lot about this types of stuff. And I think for most of us, and it adds some value behind a project when there's actually a purpose to it. Like, what are you doing? Like, what is it solving? So let's see what they say about that a little more.
1 sec, almost got it.
One of the things that, because people, it does blow people's mind when you're thinking about how that could grow exponentially, is you have to remember that every time somebody deploys anything or touches anything, they're going to require Flux to do it. And if they're using fiat, it immediately settles to Flux. So we create a passive market making model by using the utility of the asset in every single piece of the platform to be able to, basically, build that infrastructure out. It has there's only 440 million Flux, but you can buy 0.00000001 Flux. That many zeros. You got it, Dave?
Yeah, I'm uploading it. Give me 1 sec. It's taking a sec. Potato internet.
While he's doing that, I can talk about a couple things. So big shout out to the Titan crew. All the guys that how many Titan nodes do we have right now?
72.
72. So we've gotten a lot of questions around the Titan nodes. They're like, okay, well, what are we going to do with these Titan nodes? Or are they all going to be Stratus nodes or whatever? We will be deploying these on Nimbus as well. So you're going to see us slow down, because remember, Titan was a beta. We blew that beta out of the water. We're already we're already way past. I mean, our projection was like what 50 nodes, and we're already well past that, and the demand is even greater. So
yeah, we're full again.
We're full. So what we're going to focus on.
Did you see? I don't know if you heard or saw anything about that with the Titan nodes. So those of you guys not familiar, a Titan node, it doesn't require you to physically own any hardware. It's very much like, from a miner's perspective, you're staking Flux. And I did a video on this a little while ago. I took 2,000 Flux and I put it into a Titan node through their platform. And what it does is it takes multiple different individuals that are, quote, staking, puts it all together, and then it launches a node on their platform, and then it's staked. So I did 12 months with 2,000 Flux. And it's true staking. Like, I can't take it out. I can't do anything with it in that regard. But the nice thing is it takes out of the equation like the node operator hat that you have to wear, keeping it up. Because if you don't keep a traditional node up, like it's not up all the time, you go to the back of the line. So you may never see a payout if you have hardware issues, network issues, instability, things like that. Have you heard much about the Titan nodes or read into it, or not really? Not yet. Not yet, should I say?
No. But so how does that work? Do you get like a guaranteed APY?
Correct. So guys, we need to tell our buddy Seb here to go over and watch my video on this. So what you do is you pick your length of time, and based off of the length of time that your Flux is staked determines the APY, guaranteed APY. So like I can log on, and this is just funny marketing. I'm doing a video this week on Monday, actually, next Monday, releasing on how much Flux I made in 1 month off of a Titan node. So I can go in there and see how much Flux I've earned, and then once you hit 50 Flux, you can either send it to your wallet or you can almost compound interest it right on top, which is pretty cool. But I can't touch that 2,000 Flux, so it's locked in. It's true staking. It's locked in for that time period. So yeah, if you guys haven't heard of Titan nodes, go check it out. It allows you to invest into the node without owning anything or running anything. So it'll work for some of us that don't have the means to keep it up and running. All right.
One is trying to get Nimbus. So this is a handout that doesn't show up very good.
It doesn't show nice, huh?
That's all right. We'll post it in there. The guys can have it. We're gonna the guys and gals. The proof of use of work. It's a high level overview. It's kind of a handout that you can have. And Davey, you just want to kind of walk through.
It's tiny, but basically we showed the use cases on the top, and we're talking artificial intelligence, AI, rendering, cloud gaming. Those are kind of our focuses. But
this is the useful work
those
stuff.
three. And basically it goes into a bit of the workflow. So we kind of show a bit how we're thinking of doing it, how the user is going to be using it, how FluxOS works in between the work itself, and then the pool of all the cards out there, all the GPU miners out there, all the Jetsons out there, your AMD miners out there. We got you, we see you, and we'll basically pull you all together so that our end users, our customers, your customers, can utilize your cards when they're doing proof of use work. So that's basically it in a nutshell. But I'll be sharing this in the Discord for everybody to see.
Something I'm guessing. Yeah, go ahead. Perfect. Go for it.
Yes, I'm guessing this is something that they haven't implemented yet, correct?
Correct. Yeah, proof of useful work is not out yet.
Is this something that will replace their current mining algorithm, or will this be a separate thing that you can choose to do rather than mine Flux? Do you know that?
Yeah, that I don't know. I'm not sure on like which direction they're gonna go. Like I haven't heard anything yet. But I am curious. Like, is this the evolution of mining for them? You know, it takes proof of work and goes to proof of useful work, or are we gonna see both? Like, are both gonna operate? And like, if you go the route, this is all questions I think about as a miner. If I go the route of proof of useful work, does it look the same? Like I just put my GPU on Flux and it's just used differently? Because at the end of the day, I don't care how my GPU is used. It looks like Second TL Mining in chat says it's actually a whole different algorithm.
Well, it wouldn't be an algorithm at all, would it? It would be actual work done that could be something different from like rendering a 3D game to calculating
Yeah.
proteins for medical applications. Like
Well, yeah, but
that's
you
the thing.
could put it on an algorithm, and then projects approach like pools to do the projects, and then use your hardware in order to complete them. So there could I don't know. I really don't know. I guess it's
Okay.
we'll have to wait to learn more. But as a
I guess,
miner,
yeah.
as a miner, it's like, hey, if it's an easy adoption, and it, like, so I forget. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just thinking of this. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like it's almost like someone's gonna correct me in chat. I feel like you could mine to it like traditional Flux mining, but then it can pivot to useful work as needed. Maybe I'm completely wrong and I heard that wrong. We'll have to learn more and wait to hear more. We're like getting way ahead of it. Like isn't even announced yet. Either way though, like either way, the concept is awesome, and if we can continue to earn Flux in more ways, I'll take it as a miner. You know.
Awesome, thank you. So proof of use work is our ace in the hole. So, you know, people ask me what are you most excited about on the project, and I can tell you hands down it's proof of use of work, and we need it now more than ever. So now I'm going to get up on my soapbox for a couple minutes here, and I'm going to preach because I think this is very important. We are at probably the most critical time of this project ever. We need to be on our game. Do not sit on the sidelines and let the other community members run in front of you and carry you. Help us be a team and do it together. Get into Twitter, talk about Flux, talk about, you know, the fact that, you know, ETH is basically turning its back on miners, moving more toward a centralized solution, and why Flux is important. Each and every one of us should be evangelizing this project inside and out, right? We have the time, and don't tell me you don't have the time. I don't want to hear that shit. You know, I've made the time for 4.5 years. Get off your asses, go out there, get in front of people's faces, talk about Flux, you know, make sure that they understand, give them handouts, give them flyers, talk about proof of use of work, talk about the fact we're ASIC resistant, talk about all the positives of this project that we've worked as a team, as a
I feel like he wants you to print your Flux brochures and go out on like a street corner. Have you heard about Flux? Do you believe in Flux?
Yeah.
community for the past 4.5 years to build. This is the time today, right now. Do not wait till a week before the ETH merge. We move now. So how do you help out? You can participate in Discord. You can reach out and ask, you know, what areas you can help in. Get some information. Betty, our chief marketing officer, has lots of great, you know, clips and slides that you can share on Twitter. We have the Flux Army inside of Discord that you can join, and you can retweet and engage. And if you're listening to this, it means you truly believe in Flux. And today is a time for you to make your commitment, your strategic plan, your long-term plan, and your short-term plan of how you are going to push this platform forward. So I'm challenging each and every one of you to step up your game. We can fill the vacuum that ETH will leave behind. But to do that, the community needs to be better than it's ever been before. And the team can work as hard as they want. They can deliver the technology just like we've promised. Every part of our roadmap, every part. But if we are not out there evangelizing this platform, we will lose. And I say lose in the sense that we have a golden opportunity. Doesn't mean Flux goes away. Doesn't mean we're, you know, back behind. It means that we have the opportunity to be the next, not the next ETH, but the first Flux. So off my soapbox. That's my open note to the community. So what I'm going to do is, what time is it? Oh, we're way over, but what the hell? Let's do like 50. Davey, you got 15 minutes?
Yeah, I got time.
15, 20 minutes. Okay, let's do a couple questions because I know people are really going to be wanting to.
We'll hang tight for this, guys, just to see if we learn anything.
Constructive, not destructive questions, right? Because there's no value in doing destructive questions. Ask a constructive question. We'll be glad to answer it.
All right. I'm going to start off with a Facebook question. Can I host a site using Flux?
Facebook user. Wow, Facebook users are coming in.
Yeah, I thought I saw a Facebook user.
Yes, you can host a website today. As a matter of fact, if you go to runonflux.io, that's hosted on Flux. If you go to, I think 𝐾ADX is on there. I think, you know, go to 𝐾ADX, their website's on there, Haven's website. There's a bunch of websites on there, tons of them. So
Absolutely.
yes, absolutely Facebook user with no picture.
Well, it comes from Facebook.
Sounds sketchy to me.
Here's another question.
How are you able to calculate cost? I run 2 Cumulus. That $10.31 is an average for community's cost. Can you address how you were determining that cost? It's just an average. It's just an average cost. It's there's no like formula, super big formula that goes into it. We're just taking what we believe it will be. And again, asterisk, speculatory. This is estimated cost. I mean, we got it as close as we could.
Well, and keep in mind, if you're thinking, if you're running a Cumulus and it costs me this amount, keep in mind you're being paid from the chain, right? So that's that as well. So another question. Let's see. This is from Jose Barro.
Hi, Dan. Great overview. Kudos to the team. Flux is fantastic. Always evolving and executing. What do you worry about the most in terms of Flux's strategy and execution? Man, there's a shit ton of worries. I would say the biggest part is the fact that there's going to be some regulatory compliance challenges around that. I think we're still in that, like, the first they laugh at you, then they fight you, then they join you, then you win, right? So we're in the, they don't understand what Flux is quite yet, but they're starting to figure it out. And once they figure it out, it's going to represent probably some challenges around that. So remaining regulatory compliant and making sure that, you know, we're protecting all of the, you know, node operators in the community and things like that. We have to be very proactive with that. Not so much of a worry, because it's exciting. It's why I'm here. I mean, this is what I enjoy. I like this shit. This is what, you know, wakes me up in the morning with a smile on my face, because we're building something unique and something that's never been done before. The other is the current state of the economy. I mean, and I'm not just talking the crypto space, I'm talking overall. We're seeing, you know, some serious inflation rates. I mean, you know, and unfortunately, well, Flux is kind of broke from Bitcoin, but unfortunately the crypto market tends to follow the equities market, which, you know, everything is down. So, you know, I think we're still in a recession, or the beginnings of a recession. And I think we're going to have to work hard to get, you know, continue to keep developing out, moving forward. We planned well for this. So from a project standpoint, we're ready to get through that. So, you know, whether it's a bear market with the crypto world or a bear market in the real world, I think we're ready. So that's a big concern as well.
What else have you got? I think we've answered this before in other AMAs, but let's do it again.
Are you planning on adding benefit of running hardware versus a VPS? Absolutely. Is it going to be anytime soon? Probably not. So the work that's going in behind the scenes to prepare for this ETH exodus is unbelievable. These guys are working 12, 13, 14-hour days to be ready for this. I mean, the behind the scenes of what's happening is, you know, it's astronomical. Even, you know, reaching out to our pool operators so we have a ton of redundancy, making sure that our block explorers are deployed appropriately so they don't crash. I mean, if we...
I'm going to pause it there. I don't think anybody is ready. Any of these altcoins are ready for the massive amount of hash rate that's going to get dumped on them. Like day one, minute one. Like I think you're going to have, it's going to be interesting. I think the second the merge occurs, a lot of these machines are just going to be sitting there. You know what I mean? Like, okay, they're airing out whatever. I feel like you're going to see a massive amount of hash rate move as people prepare, and some people have moved over already. I've done a lot of that, but I think it's like the after effect. Like, how many days into it do you start to see like the flood, like a bigger flood occur, you know?
Yeah, but there will be that big flood, and then there will be a massive dip, most likely, when people realize that maybe it's not that profitable anymore.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, because you have to think, like, how many people are like, all right, I'm going to wait the first week. see what it's like, or wait 2 weeks in, or wait a month in, and then they're like, God, it hasn't gotten profitable, or this isn't what I was making on ETH. I can't afford it anymore. And they're out.
Yeah. But it's really reassuring to hear them speak about just how much work they are putting into this.
Yeah.
To be ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We garner 25% of what ETH hash is today and say, let's, my target's a bit higher than that. It's going to be an exponential hit to the network. So we're spending a lot of time doing on that. So anyway, long story short is I've said it before and I'll say it again. Home hosting is going to definitely at some point be more incentive laden than VPS providers. So set some gear up, man. Learn it. I mean, hell, if I can do it, you can do it.
All right, fine.
Bit of a technical question here. I can take that one if you want.
What about private environment variable and Docker? Yeah, you can have this one.
So basically, Tony's asking if you're deploying currently, everything is visible. That is something we're well aware of, and actually is being resolved as we speak. It'll be released soon. It's going to be called Flux Vault, and you'll be able to put in your private variables in there, and it'll be private to you and you alone. So there will disclose on how it all will work, but that's definitely in the pipeline, and it's already being tested. So
yeah, and that's not a. I mean, we had like a lead community, or actually a project lead, come out and say, "Oh, look, I found this. This is a vulnerability." It's not a vulnerability. It's the next. We're iterating to the next level, right? So, what are you going to do? If it was all built overnight, we wouldn't be here, right? We wouldn't be going through this ride together. So, I think that's important. All right, go ahead. Next question.
I see Mototech is also in the chat, so I'm gonna give him the floor.
Oh, he's in our chat now too.
Can we include miners into the governance model? Right now, the only node runners can vote in 𝐋𝐸. Can we give miners voting power based on their percentage of hash power? This may need coordinated with mining pools. 110%. 110%. We want miners to be able to be participating and being able to signal for votes the same way that node operators are. The way that the first version of 𝐋𝐸 was rolled out, it was the most logical because the node operators were the most available and had the ability to, with miners, it's not unusual for proof of work to signal for a particular vote, right? So we've seen this with ETH and other platforms, signaling whether or not they're going to accept an update. Well, it could be the same way with mining as well. So we don't know how it looks yet or how it will play out, but 𝐋𝐸 version 2 will absolutely include something for miners.
I think I'm going to pause there. I think it's interesting mentioning like mining pools, because like now, like think of it, like you set things up with a mining pool and then you kind of set it and forget it. But that's really the only gateway between, the miner and actually the Flux ecosystem is the mining pool. So it's almost like you could put that voting built in, into your pools, or almost require it. Like, hey, if you want to stand up a Flux pool, fine, but you need to have this voting built in. And then maybe your vote, of interesting perspective, the amount of votes is based off of your like hash rate and total uptime. That would be really cool to see.
I guess my only hesitation might be that like a lot of people just point their GPUs to a pool and forget about it, kind of thing. So then but I think that just comes down to communication on like the Flux team's part of like having good communication from the get-go with miners, like they are by doing things like this live stream that they did, and our watch party here as well, I guess, could be part of that, and being active in the community of like having miners be aware of what's going on the Flux, like within the Flux project, and therefore understand that like depending on where they point their hash rates in the future, that's a way of voting on things that might come.
Yeah, no, agreed. I'm going to be curious on this. We'll have to follow up with that in the future, because that'll be a great topic to be had. All right, moving on.
Yes. Another question from Dario.
Ooh, NVIDIA. Oh, that's right.
It says, can you clarify future goal collaboration with NVIDIA, and in the future, in the nodes, we can implement a GPU
card. So I'll take the second part first. Is not necessarily on the nodes, but our Cirrus nodes that we're going to eventually put online for proof of use of work, off-chain mechanisms. You will be able to have not only a GPU but also an FPGA. But that doesn't affect mining. That is off-chain. So don't freak out because Dan said FPGAs are coming. They're going to be off-chain as compute resources. ASICs don't qualify because they just do one damn thing. But there are, I can tell you right now, we've been talking with a large FPGA producer who wants to, when we get to that point to deploy those nodes, they'll probably be involved.
That's kind of nice.
Well, FPGAs are good at what they do, right?
Yeah, they're great. Yeah,
they
should be
for AI, and so they will have a role to play. So
okay, and
I'm gonna pause it there. So all you miners that have 3090s, save them for proof of useful work. Pretty much is what that's saying. Don't sell them.
As far as the NVIDIA partnership goes, NVIDIA is they got their own fish to fry right now, but we've gotten a lot of data from them, including information working directly with them, and we have already started working with some of the partner projects in that project as well. So, you know, is NVIDIA going to come out tomorrow with a Flux branded graphics card? No. But guess what? We're getting a shit ton of info specifically around proof of use of work, and there are Jetsons, which they continue to keep deploying, and that is going to be a big part of their business model moving forward, I believe.
The biggest win from the NVIDIA working relationship we have with it is the knowledge sharing that we're getting.
Yeah.
So that is
yeah, they're pretty good with sharing knowledge. They just don't acknowledge that, you know, miners even exist. But boy, they really should. I think they're.
That's until it comes out in their sales. Have you seen that? The big announcements around NVIDIA, like, oh yeah, this percentage of our sales were actually miners, but we weren't disclosing that. Yeah, very true.
I don't think Nancy Pelosi can single-handedly pull the price of NVIDIA up. If they would embrace miners and actually, you know, get behind them, I think they'd be in much better shape. But I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did.
Next question.
All right. Let's see. Norman is in the chat as well, so let's give him the floor.
Norman, in terms of node ops security, can we have a blacklist for apps a node does not want to have run on their local node at home? I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to ask Trunk and get back to you, because I know we had talked about that in the past.
I don't know. I don't think we do blacklisting at the moment.
Well, the problem is it's, you know, plausible deniability. If the node operators are protected kind of blanketly in terms of legal, and we've talked with multiple lawyers about this, because essentially they're providing infrastructure, and what's riding on their infrastructure is unbeknownst to them. It'd be the same way as an ISP or any other person that's providing infrastructure. You know, Xfinity or Comcast or whatever you want to call them, they can't be held responsible for what runs across their network. The minute you start picking and choosing what you can and can't run on your device, you are now accountable to that. So you have to keep that into mind. So that would have to go to our legal team. We'd have to talk about it and see whether or not that would, what kind of an impact that would have. Because currently the way that we have it structured is because, you know, you can, we actually restricted, and correct me if I'm wrong, Davey, deployment locally on the nodes, you know, applications locally on the nodes as well. So, you know, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. So that's a question I can bring up to Trunk, and then obviously forward onto the legal team as well, and see whether or not that's that would be a viability.
I think the biggest hurdle is the legal aspect of it.
Could you pause it for a second, please?
Yeah, I mean, my goal is to.
Done.
So that brings up a good point, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about this because I saw someone ask about that earlier when we were talking about like the storage stuff with Project Thunder, I think they call it. Someone brought up in chat of like, how can you be sure that like illegal content won't be stored on your sort of hardware mining hard drive, right? But I think he brings up a good point here of like it's all down to plausible deniability. Like you have no say in what's on those hard drives, and not like now they're talking about that same concept but for nodes of like, can you block certain apps from running on your nodes? And it's like to me, and it seemed to him maybe, but I don't want to speak for him, but it seemed like the opinion there is kind of like, well, if you don't have the option of blocking certain apps or certain content on your hard drive mining or whatever, then it's like you have no say in it. It's not up to you. You have no control over what's there.
Correct.
So you can't be held responsible for it or held
Sure.
liable for what's on there.
Sure.
But as soon as you have a tool where you can block certain things, now it's like you block one thing, everything else you're saying I want on there, basically.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I mean?
Daniel Keller
I
made a
mean-
comment. Yeah, Daniel Keller made a comment in chat, so I'm glad this topic came up. It says the data is encrypted and you're not able to access the data. The person who deployed the application will be accountable,
Yeah.
which is, I think, totally makes sense. You know, and you're never gonna know. You as
Yeah,
a
no,
node
absolutely.
operator will
Absolutely.
never know, and that's okay. It's like that's the whole point of it, and that even came down before to like the comment was made on the game servers. Like it's on multiple servers simultaneously. So it's like, all right, cool. Like you never even know. Like you don't know what's happening on your node and you don't need to know. Like that's what makes it of value and that's what makes it decentralized. The second you know what's running on your nodes, it's like, wait, what? Like that's the whole point of it. So no, I think that makes sense and it leaves the accountability with the app operator.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I saw someone ask about it earlier and I thought that was relevant.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like you need the more you know little banner across here.
Protect this community and these node operators and everybody that's participating in this ecosystem. So, you know, when you start picking and choosing what goes across your platform, then you go out of the comfort zone of being just a, you know, infrastructure provider and into now you're curating what comes across your platform. So we want to make sure that you guys are protected. So I'll get an answer to that, Norman.
All right.
Oh, there's Fully Electric. He's
another
in our
question
chat right now.
From Fully Electric.
Hey.
Dude loves to ask questions. Dan, does Flux have a team that can directly present the capability of Flux to my company that is looking for a cloud provider to storage of live broadcast playout? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a business development team. They do. I mean, we just added on 2 more people to business development. So yeah, I would say have them reach out to Davey. Davey can kind of poke around and see what's going on with it. And then we'll get the appropriate person, you know, Lucas or Adam or somebody like that assigned to it.
Yeah. So that's
hell yeah. Anyone else has this opportunity, get it to us. You know?
Well, I'm taking that opportunity. I'm flying in September for something.
Yeah, we have actually, okay, there's
Leaky Davy, sorry.
Leaky Davy. So we have and that I believe that's going to be live streamed as well. So
yes.
We're actually going to be meeting with not one, but many people that are interested, not crypto blockchain tech sector. This is tech sector stuff. And our presentation to them, I think we're gonna live stream it for everybody to see. So I think that's gonna be cool. We're gonna include you guys in the ride, even sitting down and talking with our customers and future apps and that are deployed on the platform. So that's kind of cool. Let's do like 3 more questions.
Sure.
Well, I know the answer to that one. The answer is no.
And if anybody was wondering, look, this is the new Flux Lab shirt. You can get that on the Flux Lab. This is my personal favorite.
Hook me up, Daniel Keller. Hook me up.
Guy on it. And you can't. This is a white.
And my friend Seb.
A green one too. So check it out.
So Rob is asking if 10 is the maximum amount of parallel assets, or is there a possibility of more?
Absolutely a possibility for more. I could say you could. I can guarantee sitting here right now there's 15 on my list. So 10 is the number that we used to move forward. So I think by the end of the year we're going to hit. What do we got? 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll hit our 10-ish. But I mean, really, parallel assets can be deployed to 100 networks if it makes sense. You know, that's the big thing. Does it make sense? And we've kind of rejiggered. We're learning as we go how we pick these projects, because after the Terra Luna debacle, we were really comfortable with adding them, and the platform was surging. It was developing. We built out the infrastructure. We did our due diligence. We felt really confident. And then overnight, it wasn't, we know what happened. So we had to go back to the drawing board. So, I will tell you, we are going to focus more on proof of work projects moving forward.
Good.
Ergo was the first, but there are others that are on that roadmap. So the answer to your question is yes, there can absolutely be more than 10.
And I'm picking random questions here, guys. I'm not always reading them. So
do you envision a time when you will be marketing in the Web 2 space on autobahns, buses, libraries, public spaces, etc.?
Yeah, then when will your face be on a bus driving past?
You don't want to see that.
Buy Flux now.
Seriously. Yes. I mean, it's like anything else. If we spent the foundational resources on marketing and PR, we could do like, Gemini did, and they did buses and wraps and all that kind of stuff, and they ran around, and then the money was gone, right? So I would say the majority of the projects that have been successful up to this point spent all of their money, or 80% of their money, on marketing and PR, and we're not doing that. We're going to build it organically, like we have. We've hit our benchmarks in every single way, and we're going to continue to keep hitting our benchmarks. But the answer to your question is, we are working with a very large marketing and PR company. You're already starting to see us start to appear in trade publications. I had quotes in Forbes and Fortune, Blockworks, Yahoo. I mean, we're starting to really become like the industry experts. And that's the ultimate goal, is to position us in a place, this community, to answer the questions. When somebody says, if you turn on CNBC on and Sam Bankman-Friedman's on there every 15 minutes talking about crypto, well, eventually, once we've reached critical mass with Web3, so they're going to turn a TV on, and there's going to be people from this community that are going to be the ones that are up there, and they're going to be the ones evangelizing and talking and explaining Web3 to people that need to know. So the answer to your question is, it's not like super planned. You're not going to see like a bus wrapped or something like that tomorrow, because I think that's a waste of resources. But I think eventually you will see a more targeted, concise marketing plan.
All right. Yella is asking a really good question, and I think we know what the answer is, but he's a bit worried.
No, it would not screw up the tokenomics. We could adjust appropriately. So, we've already kind of got something that we've written out around it, but 440 million is all there ever will be. I would say this, with the halving coming next year, it's going to be difficult to get Flux. That's for sure. So everybody get your long-term plans set up now as it is. So the answer to your question is, it would not screw up the tokenomics. We would adjust some things. We already have a plan for it.
Yeah, it would stand up a token on that chain. We would not distribute it, so there would be no extra created. So you would be still trading it 1 for 1. So, one more.
One more. What the hell?
All right. So, Flux Chinese is asking also a question in the chat.
Okay. Chinese. Here's a question from the Chinese community. If one of a parallel asset which is already running and it has problems like Luna, will Flux replace it? Well, the ultimate goal when we built the parallel assets out is we had to have the ability for these parallel chains to leave any platform and move back over to Flux. So the answer to your question is, if we would have deployed Terra Luna and we would have done the snapshot, rolled it out, all the folks that had landed on that platform would have been able to leave and come back to Flux proper. Would the asset be replaced? Probably not, unless the chain completely stopped and bricked, and we would just not put much focus on it. We would move it to the back. It's kind of like if you go into 𝐶 and you look, you get all your coins that have and tokens that have lots of uses, and then you have some of these weird archaic shit coins from like 2017 that have nothing. We didn't take it out, just left it in there. But somebody somewhere may be wanting to use it. Well, maybe Coinbase will list it, because they like to do that. So, you know, I don't know. No, we probably let it roll, and then just, you know, not and stand up another chain. Let everybody get out of there. All right. It's been a awesome State of the Union. So the State of the Flux Union is strong and growing stronger every day. That is completely and absolutely responsible by this community. I am a community member just like you guys. I relish this opportunity. There's very few times in life where you get to be part of something that's greater than you. And Flux is that. I mean, it really is. So let's all go out there and bust our asses, nose down, ass up, grind.
Thanks, Dad.
Let's
Appreciate
get
the coach.
Flux
Appreciate
out
it,
there in
coach.
front of
Put me in.
everyone, because now's the time to move. So thank you guys for joining the State of the Union, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, so we'll wrap it there. Swap back over here to our lovely faces. So, overall thoughts after our lovely educational last hour and some.
Great to know what's going on with Flux. Great to know that there's so much going on, because it really does add, in my subjective opinion, validity to the project. It also, like, the way he speaks about certain things gives you a lot of confidence in the project as a miner. With everything from how they are very committed to the mining community, which in turn just shows that they're very committed to the security of their network, which is good for everyone. So I love that. I love how they're also looking at the crypto space and the blockchain and Web 3.0 as, like, they don't want to be the one true coin, like they want to do parallel assets.
They're not replacing ETH, yeah.
Exactly. Like they want to be themselves, and they understand that they're in this ecosystem with a lot of other people, and that's also really cool to see. So those were a couple of my takeaways. How about you?
Let me stop streaming to help out here 1 sec on your side. That might move things around. I'll leave it. Anyways, sorry. So yeah, so I think the value of Flux right now is also one of those things where it's filling a void where we as miners, we're looking at ETH and there's a lot of uncertainty, like we're like, all right, what's going to happen? The merge is in 3 weeks. This kind of gives us some assurance, as a miner, you invest your time, your operations, your electricity, your cost into something, and then that project could be gone in 6 months, and then it's worth nothing. You know what I mean? So I think for us, a lot of these things surrounding Flux are of value to us, because it's like, okay, cool. These are all kind of just like adding to the foundation and the structure, and kind of locking in the fact of like, okay, what I mine today is not going to be worth 0 tomorrow, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, is like, you look at these coins that you want to jump into, and I think as miners now in 2022, it's like we look at it and we go, all right, the price is X. Is it profitable? And then your next question is, are they doing anything? Because if they're not, it makes it really hard to say, this is what I'm going to put my hash rate on, if that makes sense. So yeah, we'll definitely have to see moving forward. I was kind of put that poll out there after this going, are you going to put more rigs on Flux? 57% said yes.
Wow,
so
nice.
That's great. 34% maybe we'll see, and 9% said no, it runs a little too hot, which I think is going to be a big surprise, because there's not a lot of algorithms out there that are running cool. That, you got auto Lycos there with Ergo, but there's not a lot of other options,
Yeah, let's speak on that actually. We're mining YouTubers. Let's speak about mining Flux for a while, because I see this with as a complaint of like mining Flux, and you guys, you have to realize that like Flux isn't doing anything with your GPU that your GPU isn't supposed to do, or it isn't able to handle. It's not running above the TDP of the card or anything like that. If you're experiencing that, oh, my card is getting too hot while I'm mining Flux, and look, I'm not saying this to like throw anyone under the bus or anything like that, because obviously a lot of us built our setups with Ethereum in mind, because that was the most profitable coin, still is for another couple of weeks, most likely. But what I want to say there is that, like, if you're experiencing your cards getting really hot mining Flux, then your cooling isn't sufficient. You know, like because like Flux is just doing with your cards what the cards are capable of. You know, it's not pushing them past their own limits. Like the Flux algorithm is still not, like, especially if you tune it in right, like, yeah, it will pull more power than, you know, ETH hash on most cards, but it's not gonna run at full TDP. Like, that's not gonna be the most efficient setting for most cards, if not all cards. So if you're experiencing heat, fix your cooling, kind of, you know, because you want to be able to run your whole farm at full TDP without issue. In case there is an issue, you know, like everything can happen. You can have a weird glitch where everything jumps up to full TDP, and like you want to make sure you're not causing a fire or anything like that. So for just safety, you should be able to do that.
Yeah, it's something that people should start.
Yeah, a little bit of tough love there, maybe.
Nah, that's okay. Something definitely people need to start looking at as we get closer to the merge, and is the fact of, is your infrastructure set up to support additional heat? You know, you're going to get additional heat mining Flux. So if that's the route you want to go, what does your infrastructure look like? You know, how much do you need to increase it? I would start to do some testing right now, in order to start testing that out as a home miner. Is, you know, all right, let me swap to Flux for a day. How do I make out? How do things run? What do I need to change? I mean, if it's too much heat, you may have to undervolt them more. Yeah, you're going to see less performance on them, but you're going to see the stability. And with undervolting more, you're going to see lower watts. But yeah, they might not be performing at like, oh, I'm getting peak, you know, souls on it, but that's okay. Like, so I think it's going to be a big game as we get closer to the merge and the merge hits, where it's like, sometimes it's not always about what runs the coolest, especially when it comes down to profitability. You know, you're going to want, you're what, so yeah, awesome. Well, guys, we are, go ahead. What do you got?
No. I was just going to see if there's anything else we need to address in the live chat here before we go.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep an eye out on chat.
Should we just do like 5 minutes of taking questions and then we're going to call it?
Sure, absolutely. We'll go for about 5 minutes now, guys. We're about 2 hours and 30 minutes in. I blame Seb 100%. It's all his fault. In the meantime, guys, while we wait, you're on my channel right now. Please make sure you go over and subscribe to Seb's channel, which most of you guys are. He has some great videos coming out next week on hash rates and Flux and some other good stuff, which is awesome. So keep an eye out for that, which will be cool. So yeah, we'll take 5 minutes of videos. We'll give chat a second to catch up. There's a little bit more latency than what we traditionally have because of some of the challenges, some of the buffering that occurred. So there'll be a little bit of latency. So we'll give it a second. See what comments, questions people have here, which is good.
Yeah, post your questions for us in the live chat, and we'll see.
I'm gonna post here. Say, post your questions in chat. Oh, there you go, Clint. That's a good one for you. Most efficient Flux card currently.
Ooh, that's a good question, but probably the 2080 Ti. It's just gonna be probably the best card for Flux, and that is because it is efficient while also delivering a very high hash rate, which does matter because you have to build less rigs to get the same hash rate, which means you need less, you know, extra power lost to use the motherboard and CPU and everything else, and power supply inefficiency and that kind of stuff. So probably the 2080 Ti. The 3070 is up there. It's on par in terms of like hash per watt, but it only gets, like, for that same efficiency, it only gets about half the solutions per second as a 2080 Ti. So you'd have to build twice as many rigs for the same hash rate.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the 2000 series really take off after the merge. I think you're going to see a lot of value there, specifically. I mean, I have 2060s, and I love my 2060 Super. It does really well on Flux, which I'm happy with. I do have a 2080 Ti in my rig right now that we're using to do this, and I'm like, let me swap it with a 3060 because come the merge, it's gonna do significantly better. So yeah, that makes me definitely look at, which is funny because you're not even talking about 3000 series cards. We're talking about 2000 series cards here. Yeah, which would be great. Do you see anything else?
Well, I just got done testing the A2000s, and they are better than expected, but tweaking them is a nightmare. But they are kind of up there as well, if you are willing to spend like a full day tweaking them. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us could probably spend a little bit more time at the end of the day tweaking our GPUs. I don't think we don't traditionally do a good enough job tweaking them individually, you know, as miners. I think that's definitely a common issue there. Why don't we take one more question, guys, from chat, and then we'll wrap things up here. So feel free to continue posting your questions. Chat, guess I need to get some 2080 Ti's. Like, oh boy, here we go. Now the supply will go down significantly. Got my least favorite question in chat here as well. Where we live. I always feel very
Earth.
I always feel very uncomfortable when people ask that, because I always think, oh, they're coming to murder me.
Yeah, right. Here's a good one here. Just Hobbyist Seb, do you guys have any recent videos or screenshots of Flux and 𝐿 overclocks? I think you will find over the next few weeks, myself and Seb will be doing a lot more videos regarding Flux, regarding 𝐿, regarding the merge. You know, I think you're going to see a lot. I know I have some planned. I know Seb has some planned as well, because that we know that's interest, you know?
Yeah, well, I'm currently going through like every GPU I can get my hands on and just like testing them super in depth on like all the different algorithms I can think of, including 𝐿 for Flux. So I've released the 3060 video, the 3060 Ti, and the 3080 so far. Got the A2000 video coming next, and then I'm just gonna continue on. I'm gonna do 3070, 3080 Ti, probably 6600, 6700 XT. Yeah, you name it. The only factor is time, because these videos take a whole lot of time, especially like this A2000 video I'm working on. I've done 4 full days, like 4 full working days of just trying different overclock numbers.
That's crazy. I think we're gonna see a lot of content post-merge regarding hash rates for Flux and 𝐿, just kind of see where we are, especially because their networks are going to change so significantly. You know, with the amount of hash rate on there, especially profitability too. I think you're going to see a lot, you know, like think of it, go back like a year ago, guys. Everybody was making a video on like, here is this 3060 and it makes X hash rate on Ethereum. Well, that's, you know what I mean? Like relativity is those videos aren't going to be of value anymore. So yeah, definitely check out Seb's videos, guys. He always posts a boatload of ones on overclocking and also different hash rates and values and all the different coins out there, which will be awesome. I did post his channel in the chat just 2 or 3 minutes ago, guys. So please make sure you guys go check out Seb's channel. Anything else you got for us today, Seb?
Subscribe to Hobbyist if you haven't already, obviously. We might have some new people in the chat here watching, so yeah, please give a subscribe to Hobbyist Miner. Great content, of course. And yeah, check out Flux if this piqued your interest. It's probably a really cool stuff coming up on that project from the looks of what we saw today, at least.
Yeah, I think everybody learned a thing or two here and there. Guys, if you guys are looking to continue your scratch that itch as a miner, 𝐵𝑆𝐵 Trippin actually is live right now at Crypto World. He's talking about the Ethereum merge, so I'm gonna post this in chat. Guys, feel free to go over and raid 𝐵𝑆𝐵 Trippin's channel right now. Tell him you came from the Hobbyist Miner channel. Tell him, you know, give him some love. Make sure he knows where you came from. I'm gonna post the link in chat a bunch right now. And then yeah, expect content from Seb and I coming out over the next 7 days or so. You'll see lots coming out from us. Other than that, guys, thank you guys very much for joining us. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.